The day Amara Whitfield finally let Julian Ashford back into her heart. She thought the hardest part was over. She was wrong, because before their fragile new family could learn how to love each other, someone from Julian's past was about to arrive in Charleston with a secret that could destroy everything they had just begun to build. Hello, my beautiful Proudly family. Welcome back to Proudly Black Stories. Your love and support mean the world to us. Before we begin, tell us in the comments, which country are you watching from? What time is it in your city right now? If you're new here, subscribe and officially become part of our Proudly family. Now, let's begin today's unforgettable story. 3 months after the scandal that had nearly destroyed Ashford Global, Amara Whitfield stood in the doorway of Whitfield and Bloom, watching Julian Ashford kneel beside her son in the middle of a flower-filled shop. It was a scene she still wasn't completely used to. Julian was wearing dark jeans, a cream sweater, and the expression of a man who had finally discovered that an ordinary Tuesday could be more valuable than a billion-dollar deal. Zion was sitting cross-legged on the floor with a half-built solar-powered model spread between them. "You connected the positive wire to the wrong terminal," Julian said. "I did not." "You did." "I absolutely did not." Julian raised an eyebrow. Zion narrowed his eyes. Then the little motor suddenly spun backward. Zion stared at it. Julian stared at it. From behind the counter, Denise burst out laughing. "I hate to say it," she called, "but the billionaire is right. Zion looked personally betrayed, Mama." Amara smiled. "Don't look at me. Science has spoken." Zion dramatically dropped his screwdriver. "Fine, but I'm still smarter." Julian leaned closer. "That," he whispered, "is something you inherited from your mother." Amara's smile faded for half a second, not because the words hurt, because they didn't. 3 months ago, hearing Julian connect himself to her son would have sent 1,000 old emotions crashing through her. Now, strangely, it simply felt right, not perfect, not healed, not yet, but right. Julian had learned something important during those 3 months. Amara did not need grand gestures. She didn't need diamonds. She didn't need a mansion. She didn't need him to announce to the world that she was the woman he loved. She needed Tuesday. She needed Wednesday. She needed Thursday. She needed him to show up when he said he would. She needed Zion to know that his father wasn't another adult who would disappear when life became inconvenient. And Julian had shown up every single time. School pickup, science projects, Saturday breakfasts, soccer practice, homework, even the disastrous afternoon when Zion had decided that he could fix the kitchen sink because Dad knows how. Julian had spent 45 minutes under the sink while water soaked through his expensive shirt. Amara had laughed so hard she'd nearly cried. Julian hadn't even complained. He had simply looked up from beneath the cabinet and said, "Your son has inherited your confidence. My son inherited your inability to ask for help." Amara had answered, and for the first time in 10 years, their laughter had sounded like it belonged in the same room. That was the part that scared Amara most, because healing had become easier than she expected. And loving him again? That possibility was becoming impossible to ignore. But Amara had learned long ago that happiness could be dangerous when you trusted it too quickly. So she moved slowly, one day at a time, exactly as she'd promised. That evening, after Zion had gone upstairs to finish his homework, Amara locked the front door of the flower shop. Julian was waiting outside. He was leaning against his car with his hands in his pockets. No security team, no assistant, no expensive suit, just Julian, the man beneath the billionaire. "You're late," Amara said. He checked his watch. 4 minutes. 4 minutes is late, I know, she smiled. "You've learned." Very quickly, he held out his hand. "Come on." "Where?" "It's a surprise." Amara stopped walking Julian. He immediately lifted both hands. "No expensive gifts." "Good." "No private jet." "Good." "No restaurant where the menu doesn't have prices." He looked offended. "I've taken you to normal restaurants. 1 time, twice. The second one was still owned by your company." Julian laughed. "Okay. You have a point." Amara studied him. What are you planning? Nothing. Julian. Okay. Something. She shook her head. You know I hate surprises. I know, and that's why I promise you'll like this one. He opened the passenger door. Amara hesitated. Then she got inside. The drive lasted 20 minutes. Julian didn't tell her where they were going. Charleston's evening lights blurred past the windows until the city became quieter. Finally, he turned onto a narrow road lined with ancient oak trees. Amara looked out the window. Where are we? You'll see. A few minutes later, the car stopped in front of an old brick building. Amara stared. She knew the place. Everyone in that neighborhood did. It had once been an abandoned community greenhouse, closed for nearly 15 years. The windows were cracked. The roof had partially collapsed. The city had planned to demolish it. But now, lights glowed warmly behind new glass flowers covered the entrance. And a wooden sign hung above the doorway. Whitminty Garden. Amara turned slowly toward Julian. What is this? Julian swallowed. I bought the property. Her eyes widened. Julian, don't panic. I'm already panicking. I didn't buy it for you. She stared at him. Then why is my name on the building? Because you gave me the idea. I never. You told me once that your mother taught you flowers could make people feel less alone. Amara remembered. It had been weeks earlier. A casual conversation. She hadn't even realized he'd remembered. Julian continued. I thought about what you built with Whitfield and Bloom. You started with almost nothing. You created a place where people could walk, in having the worst day of their lives, and leave carrying something beautiful. He opened the car door. This place has been empty for 15 years. Amma stepped out. And now it's yours to design. She looked at him. No. Julian blinked. No, I can't accept this. I knew you'd say that. Then why did you do it? Because it's not a gift. She frowned. It's an investment. Into what? He walked toward the building. I've already set up a foundation. The property belongs to the foundation. The garden will provide free flowers and floral workshops for local families, community events, school programs, and small business training. Amara stared at him. You built this? No. He looked at her. You did. I just finally had enough sense to listen. Her eyes filled with tears. She quickly looked away. You're making it very difficult to stay angry with you. I know. Don't get used to it. I won't. He stepped closer. Amara. She looked at him. I don't need you to forgive me faster. Her breath caught. I don't need you to love me because I'm Zion's father. She said nothing. I don't even need you to call this a relationship yet. His voice softened. I just want to keep showing up. Amara looked at the building, then back at him. One day at a time, one day at a time. She smiled, and for a moment everything felt peaceful, almost too peaceful, because neither of them noticed the black SUV parked across the street. Inside it sat a woman Amara had never seen. The woman held a photograph in her lap, a photograph of Julian, a much younger Amara. The woman studied the picture for several seconds before whispering, So you're the woman who destroyed my family. She folded the photograph, then looked toward the greenhouse. And you have no idea what you're about to lose. The next morning, Amara woke to Zion yelling from downstairs. Mama! She jumped out of bed. What's wrong? Mama! She rushed downstairs. Zion stood in the kitchen holding a letter. His face was pale. What happened? He handed it to her. I found this in the mailbox. Amara took the envelope. There was no return address. Her name was written across the front. Amara Whitfield. Her stomach tightened. She opened it. Inside was a single photograph. Her breath stopped. It was Julian, but he wasn't alone. He was standing beside a beautiful woman with long black hair. The photograph looked old, very old. On the back, someone had written, You should ask him about her. Amara stared at the image. Zion looked up. Who is she? Amara couldn't answer because she didn't know. But there was something about the woman's face. Something familiar, something unsettling. Her phone rang. Julian, she answered. Hello? Good morning. His voice sounded warm, normal, happy. How did you sleep? Amara couldn't speak. Amara. She looked at the photograph again. Julian. Something in her tone changed his breathing instantly. What happened? Who is she? Silence, a long silence, the kind that made her heart begin to pound. Amara, he said carefully. Where did you get that photograph? Someone put it in my mailbox. Another silence. Julian. I need you to tell me exactly what the picture looks like. Her anger rose. Don't do that. Do what? Don't become secretive the moment I ask a question. I'm not being secretive. Then tell me who she is. He exhaled. Her name is Victoria. Amara's stomach dropped. Victoria who? Victoria Laurent. The name meant nothing, but the way Julian said it did. What is she to you? He didn't answer. Amara closed her eyes. Julian, she was someone I knew before you. That's not an answer. No. His voice became quieter. She was my fiancée. Amara stopped breathing. Zion was still standing across the kitchen, watching his mother's face. Amara looked at her son, then at the photograph. Your fiancé? Before you? Before me? Yes. Then why didn't you ever tell me? Julian was silent, and that silence was all the answer she needed. How long were you engaged? 8 months. Amara's hand tightened around the phone. 8 months. Amara, did you love her? I thought I did. She swallowed. Did you marry her? Why? Another pause. Because I found out something about her. What? I can't explain this over the phone. Her anger turned into fear. Then come here. I will. Now. I'm already on my way. She ended the call. Zon looked up at her. Mama? Amara forced herself to breathe. It's okay. Is that his old girlfriend? She looked at him. Children noticed everything. Something like that. Zion frowned. Are they going to get back together? The question hurt more than Amara expected. No, she crouched beside him. Listen to me. Whatever happened before doesn't change what is happening now. Zion nodded. Then he looked at the photograph. She looks angry. Amara almost smiled. She does. Maybe she doesn't like you. Maybe that's okay. Why? Zion shrugged. Not everybody has to like my mom. He paused. But I do. Amara pulled him into a hug. Oh, baby. I love you too. Neither of them noticed the woman standing across the street. Victoria Laurent watched the house through dark sunglasses. Then she lifted her phone. He knows about me now, she said. A man's voice answered. Good. Victoria frowned. You said Julian would be alone. He was not anymore. The voice on the other end laughed softly. Then we'll have to make him alone again. Victoria looked toward Amara's house. And the boy? A pause. Zorn is the key. Victoria's expression changed. What are you saying? I'm saying the boy doesn't know the whole truth. What truth? The man ended the call. Victoria stood motionless. For the first time, she looked afraid. Julian arrived 22 minutes later. He barely waited for Amara to open the door before stepping inside. His eyes immediately found Zion. Hey, buddy. Zion gave him a small smile. Hi. Julian looked at Amara. Can we talk? Yes. They moved into the living room. Amara placed the photograph on the table. Start talking. Julian sat down. His face looked exhausted. Victoria was my fiancée when I was 20. Before me, yes. You said you found out something about her. I did. What? Julian stared at the photograph. She wasn't who she said she was. Amara crossed her arms. That's vague, I know. Try again. Julian took a breath. Victoria approached my family because of Ashford Global. Amara frowned. What does that mean? Her father owned a company that wanted a merger with ours. My father supported the relationship. So your father liked her? Very much. Then why did you end it? Because I discovered that she had been secretly transferring information from Ashford Global. Amara's eyes widened. She was spying on your company? Yes. Did your father know? Julian hesitated. I don't know. Amara stared at him. You don't know. I was 20. I confronted Victoria. She denied everything. Then she disappeared. Disappeared. Her family left the country within 48 hours. Why? I don't know. Amara looked at the photograph again. Then why is she back? I don't know. And why did someone send me this? I don't know. She stepped closer. Julian, this is exactly the kind of thing that scares me. I know. You told me you wanted honesty. I do, then I need all of it. Julian stood. There is one thing I never told you. Amara's heart sank. What? He looked toward the hallway, toward Zion, then back at her. When Victoria disappeared, she took something with her. What? A file. What file? My father's private succession records. Amara stared at him. Why would she want that? Because those records contained something that could have destroyed my father's entire plan. What? Julian's voice dropped. Proof that Preston's position as heir was never legitimate. Amara froze. Preston? My cousin. I know who he is. Then you know he was proposed to inherit control if I became unfit to lead. Amara nodded slowly. Yes. Julian looked at her. But there's more. What? The file didn't just contain corporate documents. He hesitated. It contained personal records. Whose? Mine. Amara felt a chill. What kind of personal records? Medical records. Julian. And one document my father never wanted anyone to see. What document? Julian looked directly into her eyes. The original hospital report from 10 years ago. Amara's blood ran cold. The hospital? The night you found out you were pregnant. She stopped breathing. How would your father have that? I don't know, Julian. I swear I don't. She took a step backward. Then someone has been lying to both of us for 10 years. Julian nodded. That's what I'm afraid of. A sound came from upstairs. A door closing. Both of them looked toward the staircase. Zion, Amara called. No answer. She walked quickly toward the stairs. Still nothing. Julian followed. They reached his bedroom. The door was open. The window was open too. Amara's heart stopped. Zion? His bed was empty. His backpack was gone. His phone was lying on the pillow. Amara screamed his name. Julian rushed to the window. On the ground outside lay a small folded piece of paper. Julian picked it up. His face changed. What does it say? Amara demanded. He unfolded it. 3 words. I know the truth. Amara stared at him. Who wrote that? Julian looked toward the open window. I don't know. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Nobody spoke. Who is this? A child's voice came through, frightened, breathing hard. Dad? Julian's entire body went rigid. Zizon, don't tell Mama. Amara covered her mouth. Julian put the phone on speaker. Where are you, buddy? I don't know. Look around. I can't. Why? Because they said if I look outside, they'll know. Amara's knees nearly gave out. Julian caught her. Who said that? Zion began crying. Julian's face went white. Listen to me. You're going to be okay. I'm coming for you. No. Why? They said you can't come. Who? A long silence. Then Zion whispered, the woman from the picture. The call ended. Amara looked at Julian. For the first time since he had returned to her life, the billionaire CEO looked completely helpless. Julian. He stared at the phone. Victoria. Then another message arrived. This time it wasn't from an unknown number. It was from Victoria Laurent. Come alone, door. You'll never see your son again. Amara's entire world shattered. Julian looked at her. I'm bringing him home. She grabbed his arm. We're both going. No, he's my son, and he's mine. Then we're going together. Julian stared at her. No, Amara. His voice broke. If she has Zion, I cannot risk you. Amara stepped closer. You spent 10 years making decisions for me. Julian went still. I'm not letting you make this one. She took his hand. This time, Julian, we save our son together. Outside, thunder rolled over Charleston, and somewhere in the distance a black car disappeared into the rain. Inside that car, Zion Whitfield sat silently in the back seat. And beside him sat Victoria Laurent. But Victoria wasn't the one holding the photograph anymore. She was staring at something else, a hospital bracelet, 10 years old, with a name printed across it, Amara Whitfield. Victoria slowly turned toward Zion. Your father thinks this is about you. Zion looked frightened. Isn't it? Victoria shook her head. No, sweetheart. She looked out into the darkness. It's about what happened before you were ever born. And for the first time, Victoria Laurent smiled, because she knew something Julian Ashford didn't. The biggest secret in the Ashford family had never been Zion. It was the truth about the night Amara gave birth, and someone had spent 10 years making sure that truth stayed buried. Rain hammered the windshield as Julian Ashford drove through the dark Charleston streets with both hands locked tightly around the steering wheel. Beside him, Amara sat completely still. She wasn't crying anymore. Somehow, that frightened Julian more, because the Amara he knew cried when she was overwhelmed. This Amara was thinking, planning. And somewhere beneath the fear, something fierce had awakened in her. "We're not going to Victoria's location blindly," Julian said. Amara stared ahead. "Then what are we doing?" "I'm calling Marcus." "No." Julian glanced at her. "No? No more people making decisions around me, Amara. You said we save our son together." "I meant it." "Then tell me everything." Julian's jaw tightened. "I will, not after we find him. Now." She turned toward him. "Good." Julian reached for his phone. Before he could dial, it rang. "Marcus." Julian answered immediately. "Tell me you have something." Marcus's voice was tense. "We have a problem." Julian's grip tightened. "What kind?" "The number that called you was routed through 6 different servers. Can you trace it?" "Not directly, Marcus. I'm working on it." Amara leaned closer. "Ask him about Victoria." Julian repeated it. Marcus went silent. "What about her?" "She contacted us." "Victoria Laurent?" "Yes." Another silence. Then Marcus said something that made both Julian and Amara freeze. "That's impossible." Julian's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Because Victoria Laurent died 11 years ago." Amara's blood turned cold. "What?" Marcus continued. "Officially, she died in a car accident outside Atlanta." Julian slammed on the brakes. The car stopped at a red light. "You're sure?" "I'm looking at the file right now." "Send it." "Already sending." Julian's phone chimed. He opened the attachment, a death certificate. "Victoria Laurent. Date of death, 11 years ago. 1 year before Zion was born." Amara stared at the screen. "Then who has my son?" Julian didn't answer. The light turned green. He drove again, faster this time. "Marcus," he said, "I need you to reopen every file connected to Victoria." "Julian, everything. There's something else." "What?" "The death certificate was filed by her father." Julian frowned. "What's strange about that?" "The signature. What about it?" "It's not his." Julian's eyes hardened. "You're saying the death certificate may be fake?" "I'm saying somebody wanted Victoria Laurent to officially disappear." Amara's heart pounded. "Why?" Marcus exhaled. "I don't know." Then he said, "But I found something else." Julian's voice became cold. "What?" "Victoria had a child." Silence filled the car. Amara looked at Julian. "A child?" "Yes," Marcus continued. "Born 9 months after the reported accident." Julian's face went pale. "What's the child's name?" Marcus hesitated. "Daniel Laurent." Amara whispered, "How old?" 10. Julian's foot almost slipped from the accelerator. 10, exactly 10. "Where is he now?" Julian asked. "I don't know. Find him. I'm trying." The call ended. Amara stared through the windshield. "Julian, I know." "No." She turned toward him. "If Victoria supposedly died 11 years ago," her voice shook, "and her child is 10, Julian finished the thought. "Then Victoria was alive when he was born. And if she is the woman who took Zion, then she's been hiding for a decade." Amara closed her eyes. "Why?" Julian looked at the road. "I don't know." A message appeared on his phone. One image, a warehouse, coordinates, and a sentence, "You have 20 minutes." Julian showed Amara. She looked at the photograph. "That's the old harbor district." "I know." "How far?" 8 minutes. "Then drive." At the same time, Zion sat in the back of the black SUV. He was trying very hard not to cry. Victoria sat beside him. She hadn't touched him. She hadn't threatened him again. That almost made it worse. "Are you really Victoria?" Zion asked. She looked at him. "Yes, but Dad said you were dead." Victoria's expression changed. "Your father believed that." "Why?" "Because someone wanted him to." Zion swallowed. "Did you hurt my mom?" Victoria looked away. "No." "Then why did you take me?" "Because I need your father to listen." Zion's small hands tightened around his backpack. "You could have just called him." Victoria smiled sadly. Men like Julian Ashford don't always listen when you call. He's listening now. I know. Zian looked toward the window. Are you going to let me go? Victoria didn't answer immediately. Then she said, yes. When? When your father gives me what I need. What do you need? Victoria stared at him. The truth. Zian frowned. About what? Victoria's eyes filled with something that looked almost like grief. About your mother. Zion's face changed. My mom didn't do anything. I know. Then why are you blaming her? I'm not. Victoria looked at the rain sliding down the window. I'm trying to save her. Zion didn't understand. Neither would Julian. Not yet. The warehouse stood abandoned at the edge of the Charleston waterfront. Julian stopped the car 2 streets away. Amara immediately opened the door. Wait. I'm not waiting. We need to think. My son is inside. I know. Then don't ask me to wait. Julian caught her hand. I need you alive too. She looked at him. I'm not leaving him. Neither am I. They walked toward the warehouse. The rain had become heavier. Every step echoed against the wet pavement. Julian's phone buzzed. A message. Come inside Polis. Julian showed Amara. She nodded. They entered. The warehouse was dark, empty. Amara called. Her voice echoed. Nothing. Then a light flickered on. A projector came alive against the far wall. A video began playing. Amara froze. It was a hospital hallway, 10 years earlier. She recognized it immediately. Her hospital, her night, her pregnancy, her fear, her 19-year-old self walking toward the maternity ward. Amara's breath caught. How does she have this? Julian stared at the screen. I don't know. Then another video started. Julian, 22 years old, standing outside the same hospital. He looked younger, terrified. A security guard stood beside him. Julian was holding a phone. The audio was faint, but clear enough. Sir, your father said you are not to enter. I don't care what he said. You need to leave. She's in there. Sir, she's pregnant. Amara covered her mouth. Julian looked devastated. I never saw this. The recording continued. I need to see her. The guard stepped in front of him. Mr. Ashford, your father was very clear. Julian's younger voice cracked. What did he tell you? The guard answered. He said if you go inside, he'll make sure the young woman loses everything. The video stopped. Amara turned toward Julian. You knew. No, you tried to come. Yes. Then why did you never tell me? I didn't have the footage. Why didn't you come back? Julian looked at her. Because I believed my father. Her eyes filled with tears. What did he tell you? Julian's voice broke. He told me you had chosen to raise Zion without me. Amara shook her head. I called you. I know you never answered. I know I wrote you. I know. She stared at him. You knew? I found out years later. Then why? Because I was a coward. The projector suddenly changed. Another image appeared. A medical document. Amara stepped closer. Her face went pale. It was her original hospital record. But something was wrong. The date had been altered. Julian noticed it too. This isn't the original. Amara looked at him. What the date? He pointed. The document says Zion was born on the 18th of June. Amara shook her head. He was born the 19th of June. Julian stared at her. What? June 19th. He stepped closer to the screen. Then someone changed the medical record. A voice came from the darkness. Yes. Amara spun around. Victoria stepped into the light. Zon was not with her. Amara's heart stopped. Where is my son? Safe. Bring him here. Not yet. Julian stepped in front of Amara. You said you wanted the truth. I do. Then explain. Victoria looked at him. 10 years ago, your father didn't just separate you from Amara. Julian's expression hardened. What did he do? He changed the records. Why? Victoria looked at Amara. Because Zion wasn't the only baby born that night. Silence. Amara stared at her. What? Victoria's voice softened. There were 2 babies. Julian stopped breathing. Amara shook her head. No. Yes. No. I know what you're thinking. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. Victoria stepped closer. Your son was born at 2:14 in the morning. Amara nodded slowly. Yes. And another baby was born 12 minutes later. Julian stared at her. "Where are you going with this?" Victoria looked at him. The second baby was a girl. Amara's face drained of color. "Where is she?" Victoria didn't answer. Instead, she reached into her coat and removed a small hospital bracelet. She handed it to Amara. Amara looked down. Her hands began shaking. The bracelet read "Baby Girl Whitfield." Her knees almost gave out. Julian caught her. "Amara." She couldn't speak. Victoria whispered, "Your daughter is alive." Amara looked up. "What? Alive? Where?" Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "That's what I've spent 10 years trying to find out." Julian stared at her. "You knew about this?" "No." "Then how? Because the second baby was taken." Amara covered her mouth. "Taken?" Victoria nodded. "Someone removed her from the hospital before the birth records were finalized." "Who?" Victoria looked directly at Julian. "Your father." Julian's entire body went rigid. "No, yes, my father didn't." "Your father wanted you to marry Victoria. He wanted an heir that could be controlled." Amara shook her head. "This makes no sense." Victoria's voice trembled. "It will." She pulled another photograph from her coat. A little girl, approximately 10 years old, dark brown skin, curly hair, amber-flecked eyes. Amara stared at the picture. Her world stopped. The girl's eyes looked exactly like Zion's, and exactly like hers. Julian took the photograph. His fingers trembled. "Who is she?" Victoria whispered. "Her name is Maya." Amara's lips parted. "Maya, that's the name she was given." "Where is she?" Victoria looked toward the warehouse doors. "Closer than you think." Suddenly, headlights appeared outside, several black vehicles. Julian turned. "Who are they?" Victoria's expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. "They found us." "Who?" She grabbed Zion's backpack. "The people who took your daughter." Amara's heart stopped. "My daughter?" Victoria nodded. "And if they realize I've brought you here?" She looked toward the doors. "They'll take Zion too." The warehouse lights suddenly went out. A gunshot exploded outside. Zon screamed. Amara screamed his name. "Jean!" Victoria grabbed her arm. "Don't move." Another shot. Then footsteps. Multiple footsteps. Julian pushed Amara behind a concrete pillar. "Stay here." "No, I'll get him. You promised we'd do this together." "I know." He looked into her eyes. "But this time I'm asking you to trust me." Then he disappeared into the darkness. Amara stood frozen. Victoria whispered, "There's something you need to know." "What?" "Julian isn't the only person who has been lied to." Amara stared at her. "Then who is the other person?" Victoria's eyes moved toward the darkness. "Your mother." Amara's breath stopped. "My mother?" Victoria nodded. "Odessa knew about the second baby." Amara shook her head. "No, she knew." "You're lying." "I'm not." A shadow moved behind them. Victoria suddenly grabbed Amara's hand. "Run." They ran toward the back exit. Behind them, a man's voice echoed through the warehouse. "Amara." She recognized it. Her blood froze. It wasn't Julian. It wasn't Victoria. It was a voice she hadn't heard in years, a voice from her childhood, a voice she thought belonged to a dead man. "Amara." She stopped. Victoria grabbed her. "Don't listen." But Amara couldn't move because the voice came again, and this time the words were unmistakable. "Your daughter has been waiting for you." The voice echoed through the warehouse again. "Your daughter has been waiting for you." Amara couldn't breathe. For 10 years, she had believed her life had one child in it. One pregnancy, one birth, one baby, one little boy named Zion. But now a stranger was telling her that somewhere in the world was another child who carried her blood, her daughter. A daughter who had supposedly been taken from her before she ever knew she existed. Amara turned toward Victoria. "Who is that?" Victoria's face had gone completely pale. "We have to get out." "Who is that?" "Amara now. I want an answer." The footsteps grew louder. Julian's voice suddenly came from somewhere behind them. "Amara." She spun around. Julian emerged from the darkness, breathing hard. He was alone. "Where is Zion?" Julian looked at Victoria. "Where is my son?" Victoria pointed toward a storage room. "He's there." Julian rushed toward it. Amara followed. The door flew open. Zion was inside. He was sitting on the floor with his knees pulled against his chest, terrified but unharmed. "Mama," Amara dropped beside him and pulled him into her arms. "Oh, baby. I was scared." "I know. I tried not to cry. You don't ever have to be brave for me." Julian crouched beside them. "Are you hurt?" Zion shook his head. Julian pulled him into his arms. For several seconds nobody spoke. Then Zion whispered, "Dad? Yeah. Who's Maya?" Julian froze. Amara looked at Victoria. Victoria closed her eyes. "He heard us." Julian stood slowly. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing." Zion looked up. She said, "I have a sister." Amara's heart shattered. Julian turned toward Victoria. "You said there was another baby." "Yes, you said she was taken, yes. And now you know where she is." Victoria hesitated. "I know where she was." Julian's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "It means she's been moved." "By whom?" Victoria didn't answer. Julian stepped closer. "Who took her?" "Reginald." The name fell into the room like a bomb. Amara stared at Victoria. "My father?" Julian whispered. "No." Victoria looked at him. "Yes." Julian shook his head. "My father was controlling, cruel, manipulative. But he wouldn't kidnap a newborn." "He did. You're lying. I wish I were." Victoria reached inside her coat again. This time she removed a small folder. She handed it to Julian. "Read it." Julian opened it. Inside were photocopies of medical records, financial transfers and handwritten notes. His expression changed with every page. Amara watched him. "What is it?" Julian didn't answer. "Julian?" He handed her the first document. It was an invoice, a private maternity clinic, paid in full by an Ashford family account. The date was 10 years ago. The description was simple. Special neonatal transfer. Amara's hands trembled. Where was she transferred? Julian turned the page. Nothing. The destination had been blacked out. Another page. A payment. Another. A doctor's signature. Another. A handwritten note. Amara leaned closer. She recognized the handwriting. Her mother's. She stepped backward. "No." Julian looked at her. "What?" "That handwriting." Victoria nodded. "That's why I told you." Amara stared at the page. Her mother's handwriting was unmistakable, beautiful, precise, the same handwriting that had filled every birthday card Amara had ever received. The note contained only one sentence: "I have done what you asked. Please never make me choose between my daughter and her children again." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "My mother knew." Julian said nothing. "She knew." Victoria nodded. "Yes. Why?" "I don't know." Amara turned towards the warehouse doors. "I need to see her." Julian immediately understood. "Your grandmother?" "My mother, Amara. She knows something. We'll go." "No." She looked at him. "This is my family." Julian stepped closer. "Then I'm coming with you." Zion raised his hand. "Me too." Both adults looked at him. "No," Amara said immediately. "But no." Zion frowned. "I want to know what's happening. You're 9. I'm 10 next month. That doesn't make you an adult." "I know." He looked at Julian. "But I'm part of this family." Julian's expression softened. "You are." "Then don't lie to me." Amara looked away. That sentence hurt, because it sounded exactly like something she had been telling herself for 10 years. They left the warehouse through the rear entrance. Marcus arrived minutes later with 2 trusted security officers. Julian explained enough to make him understand the seriousness of the situation. But he didn't tell him everything. Not yet. Because before they could confront anyone, they needed to find Odessa. The drive to her house was silent. Zion sat between Amara and Julian in the back seat. He held his mother's hand. Julian held his other. For the first time, they looked like a family. But none of them knew what awaited them. When they reached the house, the front door was already open. Amara's heart dropped. "Grandma!" No answer. They rushed inside. The living room was empty. A lamp had been knocked over. A chair lay on its side, and on the kitchen floor was a broken teacup. "Grandma!" Amara ran through the house. Nothing. Julian checked every room. No Odessa. No sign of forced entry. Then Zion called from the hallway, "Mama." She turned, holding something, a photograph. Amara took it. It was old, very old. A younger Odessa stood outside a hospital. Beside her stood Reginald Ashford, and in Odessa's arms was a newborn baby, 2 newborn babies, one in each arm. Amara stared, her entire body went numb. "That's me," she whispered. Julian looked at the photograph. "Then who's the other baby?" Amara shook her head. "I don't know." Victoria stepped closer. "I do." Amara looked at her. "Who?" Victoria pointed to the baby on Odessa's right. "That was Maya." Julian's face went pale. "Then Maya wasn't taken after all." Victoria shook her head. "No, she was given away." "Yes, by Odessa." Victoria hesitated. "Not willingly." Amara's voice cracked. "Then who?" Victoria looked at Julian. "Your father." Julian's eyes hardened. "Where?" Victoria looked down. "New Orleans." 2 hours later, Amara stood outside an old townhouse in New Orleans. The building was beautiful but weathered. A brass plaque beside the door read, "Laurent Family Dation." Julian looked at Victoria. "You said Maya was here?" "She was?" Victoria nodded. "She lived here for 6 years." Amara felt sick. "Who raised her?" Victoria didn't answer. The door opened before they could knock. An elderly black woman stood there. She looked at Amara, then at Julian, then at Victoria. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God!" Amara stepped forward. "Do you know me?" The woman began to cry. "Yes. Who are you?" "My name is Evelyn Laurent." Victoria stepped beside her. "She's my aunt." Amara stared. "You knew my daughter?" Evelyn's face crumpled. "I knew both of your children." Amara's breath stopped. "Both?" "Yes. Where is Maya?" Evelyn looked toward Julian. "She left 3 weeks ago." "Where?" "I don't know." Julian stepped forward. "Who took her?" "No one took her." "What?" "She left willingly." Amara shook her head. "She was 10. Evelyn nodded. "She was 10. Then how could she leave?" "Because someone told her the truth." Amara's voice trembled. "What truth?" Evelyn looked at her. "That she wasn't abandoned." Amara couldn't speak. She was told that her mother had died. Amara's eyes filled with tears. "She thought I was dead?" "Yes, for 10 years." Evelyn nodded. "Your daughter believed you were dead." Amara covered her mouth. Julian took her hand. She pulled away, not because she didn't want him, because she couldn't bear to be held while her entire past was collapsing around her. Why would anyone tell her that? Evelyn looked at Victoria. "Because your father wanted her identity erased." Julian's voice was cold. "My father, yes. Why?" Evelyn's expression hardened. "Because Reginald Ashford believed your family needed an heir he could control." Julian stared. "You mean Maya?" "Yes." "Why not Zion?" Evelyn hesitated. "Because Zion was never supposed to survive." The room went silent. Amara's face went white. "What did you say?" Evelyn closed her eyes. "I shouldn't have said that." Julian stepped forward. "No." His voice was terrifyingly calm. "You're going to explain every word." Evelyn looked at him. "Your father believed Amara would eventually leave you. He thought she would raise the child away from the Ashford family. But he also believed there was a possibility that you would come looking for them. So he planned for Maya." "Yes. Why?" "Because Maya was easier to control." Amara shook her head. "My daughter isn't a possession, I know. Then why did everyone treat her like one?" Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "Because powerful men make powerful mistakes when they believe money can erase consequences." Julian stared at her. "Where is Maya now?" Evelyn reached into a drawer. She removed a letter. "This arrived yesterday." Amara took it. The handwriting was childish, careful, beautiful. The letter said, "Dear Mama, I don't know if you're really my mother, but I think you are. I saw a picture of you. You look like me. I don't know why everyone lied. I'm going somewhere safe. If you love me, please find me. Love, Maya." Amara couldn't breathe. The paper slipped from her fingers. Julian picked it up. Zion stood silently nearby. He looked at his mother. "Mama?" She turned. "I have a sister." Amara nodded through tears. "Yes, then we have to find her." She pulled him into her arms. "Yes, baby. We will." Julian looked at them. Then at the letter. His phone rang. "Marcus." Julian answered. "Tell me." Marcus sounded breathless. "We found something." "What?" "The old Ashford family trust." Julian's expression changed. "Go on." There was a hidden account created 11 years ago. For Maya? No. Then what? Marcus paused. It was created in Amara's name. Julian looked at Amara. What kind of account? A medical trust. Who funded it? Your father. Julian's jaw tightened. How much? Marcus gave him the number. Julian went silent. Amara watched him. How much? He looked at her. $4 million. Her eyes widened. Why would he put $4 million in my name? Marcus answered from the phone. Because according to the trust documents, the money was supposed to be released only if Amara Whitfield signed a document relinquishing parental rights. Amara's blood ran cold. What document? Marcus's voice became quieter. The adoption agreement for Maya. Silence. Then Julian whispered, My father tried to buy your daughter. Amara looked at the letter in his hand. No, her voice hardened. He tried to buy my silence. Julian looked at her. And he failed. Did he? The question came from the doorway. Everyone turned. Victoria stood there. Her face had gone pale, because someone was standing behind her. A man in a dark suit, older, powerful, and very familiar to Julian. Julian froze. Preston Ashford smiled. Hello, cousin. Julian stepped in front of Amara and Zion. You should leave. Preston laughed. I've been looking for you. Why? Preston's eyes moved to Amara, then to Zion, then to the letter. I think you already know. Julian's voice was cold. Where is Maya? Preston's smile disappeared. That's the problem. He took one step forward. Maya doesn't know who she can trust. Amara stepped forward. She can trust me. Preston looked directly at her. Can she? Amara froze. What does that mean? Preston's expression changed. I think you should ask your mother what happened the night you gave birth. Amara's heart stopped. Why? Preston reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small envelope. Then he dropped it on the floor. Because Maya wasn't the only baby your mother took from that hospital. Nobody moved. Julian stared at him. What did you say? Preston smiled. Ask Odessa. Then he turned and walked away. Julian rushed toward the door. But Preston was already gone. Amara stood motionless, her mind spinning. 2 babies, a missing daughter, a hidden trust, a mother who knew, a father who lied. And now Preston was claiming there was something even bigger. Julian returned to her. Amara, she looked at him. I need to talk to my mother. We will. No, her voice shook. We need to go back to Charleston. Julian nodded. Then Zion spoke quietly. Mama, she turned. He was holding the envelope Preston had dropped. I think there's something inside. Amara took it. She opened it. A single photograph fell out. She picked it up. Her hands began shaking. The photograph showed Odessa standing in a hospital hallway. Beside her was a nurse. And behind them was a bassinet. Inside the bassinet was a newborn baby. On the photograph's bottom corner was a handwritten date, the 19th of June. But the photograph had been taken at 1:03 a.m., before Zion was born, before Maya was supposedly born. Amara stared at it. That can't be right. Julian looked over her shoulder. Why? She pointed to the bassinet. Because that's not Maya. Julian looked at the baby, then at Amara. How do you know? She whispered. Because I've seen that face before. Zion stepped closer. Where? Amara looked at her son. Her blood ran cold. On you. The room fell silent. Julian's eyes widened. Amara looked back at the photograph. The baby had the same tiny mark beneath the left eye that Zion had. The same mark she had kissed countless times. The same mark Julian had never noticed. Victoria suddenly whispered, That's impossible. Amara looked at her. Why? Victoria stared at the photograph. Because that baby was born before you arrived at the hospital. Julian's face went pale. What are you saying? Victoria stepped backward. I'm saying, she swallowed, we may have been wrong about who Zion's mother is. Amara felt the world disappear beneath her feet. Julian stared at Victoria. No. Victoria looked at him. I don't know the truth. Then she looked at Amara. But someone does. And upstairs, miles away in Charleston, Odessa opened her eyes. She was sitting alone in a dark room. Her hands were trembling. A phone lay beside her. The screen showed a photograph of Amara, Julian, Zion and Victoria. Odessa stared at it. Then she whispered, "Please forgive me, baby." Her phone rang. She answered. A man's voice said, "They know." Odessa closed her eyes. "I know. You have 1 hour." 1 hour for what? To tell Amara the truth. Odessa's breathing became unsteady. "And if I don't," the voice replied, "then I'll tell her myself." The call ended. Odessa looked toward the bedroom door, and for the first time in 10 years she began to cry. The moment Odessa heard the voice on the phone, she knew the past had finally caught up with her. For 10 years she had carried one secret inside her heart. A secret she had convinced herself was protecting Amara. A secret she had prayed would die with her, but secrets did not die. They waited, and now the truth was coming for her family. Back in New Orleans, Amara stood frozen with the photograph in her hands. Julian was staring at Victoria. Zion was staring at Amara, and nobody seemed capable of saying the words that were hanging between them. Finally, Amara broke the silence. "Take us back to Charleston." Julian nodded. "We're leaving now." Victoria stepped forward. "I should come with you." Amara looked at her. "No." Victoria's expression fell. "Amara, I don't know whether I trust you." "You shouldn't." The honesty surprised her. Victoria lowered her eyes. "But I'm telling you the truth about one thing." "What?" "Your mother is in danger." Amara froze. "What kind of danger?" "The kind that doesn't end with a warning." Julian immediately moved closer. "Who is threatening her?" Victoria shook her head. "I don't know. You expect me to believe that. I expect you to understand that I've been running from the same people for 10 years. Julian's expression hardened. Then, "Stop running." Victoria looked at him. "And do what?" "Tell us everything." She swallowed. "I don't know everything." "Then tell us what you do know." Victoria looked toward Zion. "He should not be here for this." Amara nodded, agreed. Julian looked at Marcus. "Take Zion to the car." Zion immediately protested. "No, buddy, no." He looked at his father. "You said no more lies." Julian stopped. Zion's eyes were wet. "I know something is happening." Julian crouched in front of him. "I know." "Then don't send me away." Julian looked at Amara. She understood. He was trying to protect their son. But Zion was right about one thing. He deserved honesty. Not every detail, not adult secrets, but enough truth to know that nobody was abandoning him. Julian placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your mum and I have to find someone who may need our help." "Who?" "Your grandmother." Zion's face changed. "Is Grandma Odessa okay?" "We don't know." "Then I want to come." Amara looked at him. "You stay with Marcus, but you'll be with someone I trust." Zion reluctantly nodded. Julian kissed his forehead. "I'll come back." Zion looked directly into his father's eyes. "You promise?" Julian's expression softened. "I promise." This time he didn't say it lightly. He knew what promises meant now. 3 hours later, Charleston was covered in rain. Amara's hands shook as she unlocked Odessa's front door. The house was dark. "Grandma?" No answer. Julian entered behind her. "Odessa?" Nothing. Amara walked into the living room. The photograph was still in her hand, the one that showed the newborn in the bassinet, the baby with Zion's mark. She stared at it again. There had to be an explanation. There had to be. Then she heard a sound upstairs. A cough. "Grandma!" She ran up the stairs. Julian followed. They found Odessa sitting on the edge of her bed. She looked exhausted, older than she had that morning, much older. Her eyes went directly to the photograph in Amara's hand, and the color disappeared from her face. "You found her?" Stopped. "You know what this is?" Odessa closed her eyes. "Yes, then tell me." "Amara." "Tell me." Her voice cracked through the room. "You knew." Odessa started crying. "Yes." Julian stepped forward. "What happened?" Odessa looked at him. "You should not have come back." Julian's face hardened. "That's not your decision." "No," she shook her head. "It isn't." She looked at Amara. "I was afraid." "Of what?" "Of losing you. You already lost 10 years with me." Odessa flinched. Amara immediately regretted the words, but the pain was too deep to stop. "Why did you lie to me?" "I was trying to protect you." "From what?" "Your father." Amara froze. "My father?" Odessa nodded. "He knew about Julian." Julian looked shocked. My father knew, before you were born. Amara stared. That's impossible. Odessa shook her head. Your father and Reginald Ashford had business together. Julian's expression changed. What business? Real estate. My father was involved in real estate. He was. Amara's voice trembled. What does that have to do with me? Everything. Odessa reached for a small box beside the bed. She opened it. Inside were documents, photographs, letters, and a hospital bracelet. Amara stared. What's that? Odessa handed it to her. Amara looked down. Baby girl wit-fouled. Her fingers trembled. That's Maya. Odessa shook her head. No. Amara looked up. Then who? Odessa whispered. Your sister. Julian's eyes narrowed. You mean Maya? No. Odessa shook her head. Maya was never your daughter. Amara's world stopped. What? Odessa looked at her. The baby you gave birth to, she began crying, was a boy. Julian froze. Amara stared. What? Odessa continued. Zion. Amara shook her head. Yes, then Maya. Odessa closed her eyes. She was your sister. Silence. The photograph slipped from Amara's fingers. Julian caught it. Your sister? Odessa nodded. She was born 12 minutes after Zion. Amara could barely breathe. Why did you tell me she was my daughter? Because that was the lie Reginald created. Julian's voice became cold. Why? Odessa looked at him. Because your father wanted to control the inheritance. Julian stared. That doesn't explain anything. It does. Odessa took a shaky breath. Reginald believed you would never willingly marry into the Ashford family if you knew what they had done. What did they do? Odessa looked at Amara. Your father owed Reginald money. Amara's face went blank. How much? Enough to destroy him. Julian clenched his fists. So Reginald used the debt. Yes, to control her family. Yes, but why the children? Odessa looked down. Because Reginald believed children could be used as leverage. Amara's eyes filled with tears. My daughter was never your daughter. Then why did I feel? Her voice broke. Why did I feel like I knew her? Odessa looked at her. Because you were her sister. Amara covered her face. All those years, all those memories, every birthday, every dream, every moment she'd imagined another child. It had all been built around a lie. Julian moved toward her. She stepped away. I need space. He stopped. Okay. She looked at Odessa. Where is my sister? Odessa hesitated. She was taken. By whom? Reginald. Where? I don't know. You know something. Odessa looked at her. I know where she was sent. Where? A private boarding school in Virginia. Julian immediately took out his phone. Name, Odessa whispered. St. Catherine's Academy. Julian searched. His face changed. What? It closed 7 years ago. Odessa nodded. It wasn't a normal school. What was it? A place for children whose identities needed to disappear. Amara stared at her. My sister spent 6 years there. Yes, who took her out? Odessa looked away. I did. Amara froze. You? Yes. Why? Because I realized what Reginald had done, and then I tried to bring her home. What happened? Your father stopped me. Amara's eyes widened. How? He threatened to expose you. Expose me for what? Odessa whispered. For the pregnancy. Amara stared. You mean he threatened to tell everyone that I had a child? Yes, that makes no sense. It does when you're 19 and your family is already drowning in debt. Amara's voice became quiet. You sacrificed my sister to protect me. Odessa began crying. Yes. Amara looked away. She wanted to hate her, but she saw the old woman in front of her, the same woman who had held her hand through sickness, the same woman who had raised her when life became unbearable, and suddenly anger mixed with grief. I don't know how to forgive you. Odessa nodded. I don't expect you to. Julian spoke softly. Where is she now? Odessa looked at him. I don't know, but someone does. Yes, who? Odessa hesitated, then whispered. Victoria. Amara looked toward the doorway. Odessa nodded. She found Maya years ago. Then why didn't she tell me? Because Victoria was protecting her. From whom? Odessa looked directly at Julian. Your father. The next morning, Victoria arrived at Whitfield and Bloom. She looked exhausted. Amara had barely slept. Julian had been awake all night working with Marcus. Zion was at school under heavy security. Victoria walked inside. "Where is she?" Amara asked. Victoria knew immediately who she meant. "Maya." "Yes." Victoria closed the door. "I know where she is." Amara's heart stopped. "Where?" "Savannah." Julian looked up. "Who is she living with?" Victoria shook her head. "No one." "What does that mean?" "She disappeared 3 weeks ago." Amara's stomach dropped. "Why?" "She found out that she was adopted." Julian stepped closer. "How?" "She found the file." "What file?" "The same one Reginald tried to destroy." Amara looked at Victoria. What did it say? Victoria took a breath. That her biological mother was Amara Whitfield. Amara's eyes filled with tears. "She knows." "Yes. Then why didn't she come to me?" Victoria looked away. "Because the file contained another name." "Whose?" "Julian." He froze. "What about me?" Victoria's voice softened. "It said you were listed as the father." Julian stared. "That can't be." Victoria shook her head. "I know." Amara looked between them. "So what does that mean?" Victoria answered. "Someone forged the birth records." Julian's face tightened. "But why?" Victoria reached into her bag. She pulled out one final document. "This." Julian took it. His eyes scanned the page, then he stopped. Amara watched his expression. "What is it?" Julian looked at her. "I don't know. Tell me." He handed her the document. It was a DNA test. Amara stared at the names. Julian Ashford, Mayat Laurent, probability of paternity. 99%. Amara's hands began shaking. Julian stared at the document. "That test says I'm her father." Victoria nodded. "And that is the lie." Amara looked at her. "Then why does the DNA say he's her father?" Victoria whispered. "Because the DNA sample was switched." Julian's eyes narrowed. "Whose sample was used?" Victoria looked toward the door, then said, "Zion's." Amara stopped breathing. Julian's face went completely blank. "You're saying?" Victoria nodded. "Someone used Zion's DNA to make it look like Maya was Julian's biological daughter." Amara looked at Julian. Neither of them spoke. Then Amara whispered, "Why would someone do that?" Victoria's expression turned grim. "Because they wanted you and Julian to believe Maya belonged to the Ashford family." Julian shook his head. "But she doesn't." "No, then who is her father?" Victoria stared at him. "We're about to find out." She reached into her bag. "There is one more test." She placed it on the table. This time, the name wasn't it was Reginald Ashford. Amara looked at the result. The room went silent. Probability of paternity, 99%. Julian's face went pale. "No," Victoria nodded. "Reginald is Maya's biological father." Amara's heart stopped. Julian stared at the page. "My father." Victoria whispered, "Is your sister's father?" Amara backed away. "No." Victoria looked at her. "And that is why Reginald spent 10 years hiding her." Julian's voice was barely audible. "He had a child with Amara's mother." Victoria nodded. "Before Amara was born, Amara couldn't breathe. Her mother, Reginald Ashford, a hidden child, a secret family. Everything she thought she knew was collapsing. Then her phone rang unnumber. She answered. A girl's voice whispered, "Are you Amara?" Amara froze. "Yes, I think." The girl began crying. "I think I'm your sister." Amara's knees weakened. "Maya?" "Yes." "Where are you?" "I don't know." "What do you see?" "A house." "Where?" "I don't know." "Please look outside." "I can't." "Why?" "Because the man who brought me here told me that if I leave." Her voice trembled. "He'll hurt Zion." Amara's heart stopped. "What man?" The line went silent, then Maya whispered, "He says his name is Reginald." The call ended. Amara stared at her phone. Julian immediately took it. "Trace it." Marcus was already working. Then another message appeared. A photograph, Maya standing inside a dark room, and behind her, a man whose face Amara had never seen. But Julian recognized him. He went completely still. "Who is that?" Amara asked. Julian's voice was cold. "Someone who died 15 years ago." The lights in the flower shop suddenly went out. Zion's school called, Amara answered. A terrified teacher screamed through the phone, "Mrs. Whitfield, Zion is missing." Amara dropped the phone. Julian looked at her. What happened? She could barely speak. Then her phone received one final message. A photograph of Zion sitting beside Maya, and beneath it, one child was never supposed to exist. No, both of them belonged to me. Amara couldn't hear anything except the pounding of her own heart. Zion was gone. Maya was gone. And somewhere in the darkness, someone was holding both children. Julian stood beside her, staring at the photograph on her phone. His face had lost every trace of color. That's impossible. Amara looked at him. What? He pointed at the man standing behind the children in the photograph. That man. Who is he? Julian swallowed. His name was Nathaniel Cross. Victoria's eyes widened. You know him? I knew of him. Julian, Amara whispered. You said he was dead. He was. When? 15 years ago. Victoria stepped closer. That's what the records say. Julian looked at her. You're telling me you don't believe them. I stopped believing records a long time ago. Amara's hands trembled. Enough. Both turned toward her. My son is missing. Her voice cracked. My supposed daughter is missing. She looked at Julian. And you two are standing here arguing about whether a dead man is alive. Julian nodded. You're right. He pulled out his phone. Marcus. The call connected instantly. Sir, find Nathaniel Cross. Marcus was silent. Julian, find him. That's impossible. Everyone keeps saying that. Julian's voice turned ice cold. I'm done listening to the word impossible. Marcus sighed. I'll search the old records, not records. Julian looked at the photograph. Everything. Across town, Zion opened his eyes. The room was dark. His wrists weren't tied. That surprised him. He sat up slowly. Maya. A small voice answered from the other side of the room. I'm here. Zion turned. A girl was sitting against the wall. She looked almost exactly like him. Same eyes, same curls, same small mark beneath the left eye. Zon stared. You're Maya. She nodded. You're Zion. Yes. They looked at each other for several seconds. Then Zion asked, Are you really my sister? Maya nodded. I think so. Mom says I don't have a sister. She didn't know. How do you know? Maya looked down. Because I found the file. What file? The one that told me my real name. Zion frowned. What is your real name? Maya hesitated. Maya Whitfield. Zion's eyes widened. You have Mom's last name. I think it was supposed to be mine. Zion moved closer. Then why did they call you Laurent? Because someone wanted me to forget. Zion looked toward the door. Do you know where we are? No. Do you know who took us? Maya shook her head. I know one thing. What? He wants Dad. Zion frowned. Why? Because Dad has something he wants. What? Maya looked at him. The Ashford inheritance. Zion's face changed. Dad doesn't care about money. I know. Then why would anyone think he does? Because adults keep fighting over it. Zion sighed. Adults are confusing. Maya smiled for the first time. Very. Then they heard footsteps. Both children went silent. The door opened. A man stepped inside. Ze recognized him from the photograph. Nathaniel Cross. Or the man everyone believed was Nathaniel Cross. He placed 2 plates of food on the table. Eat. Zion stared at him. Where's my mum? Safe. Where's Dad? Coming. Why? The man smiled. Because he always comes for his family. Zion looked at Maya, then back at the man. You don't know my dad. The man's smile disappeared. Oh, I know him very well. He turned toward the door. And I know exactly what he'll do when he learns who your real father is. Maya looked frightened. Zion stood. What does that mean? The man paused, then said, Ask Maya. The door slammed shut. Zion turned toward her. I don't know. What is he talking about? I don't know. You know something? Maya shook her head. I swear. Zion sat beside her. Okay, she looked at him. What? We'll figure it out. You're not scared, I am. Then why are you acting brave? Zion shrugged. Because my mum always tells me being scared doesn't mean you can't do the right thing. Maya stared at him. She sounds nice. She is. Do you think she'll find us? Zion smiled. She always finds me. At Whitfield and Bloom, Julian slammed a folder onto the table. Marcus found him. Amara looked up. Where? Marcus appeared on Julian's tablet. We found evidence that Nathaniel Cross survived the crash. Victoria stared. How? He disappeared from the hospital before his death was officially recorded. Julian frowned. Who helped him? Marcus hesitated. Reginald. Amara's heart sank. Of course, Marcus continued. There is more. What? Nathaniel Cross worked for Reginald for years. As what? Private security. Julian's expression darkened. And the hospital? He was assigned to the hospital the night Zion was born. Amara froze. What? Marcus nodded. We found his name in the security logs. Julian stared at the screen. Nathaniel was there? Yes. Doing what? Marcus opened another file. He signed out 2 infants. Silence. Amara's heart stopped. 2, Marcus nodded. 2 infants were transferred from the maternity ward that night. Julian looked at Amara, Zion and Maya. Marcus shook his head. No. He looked uneasy. There were 3. Amara's face went white. 3 babies. Yes, Julian stepped closer to the screen. Who was the 3rd? Marcus swallowed. We don't know. What do you mean you don't know? The record was deleted, Amara whispered. Derated by whom? Marcus looked at Julian. Reginald Ashford. An hour later, Julian and Amara sat in the back of a car heading toward the old Ashford estate. Victoria followed in another vehicle. Marcus had warned them not to go. Julian ignored him. The estate had been abandoned after Reginald's legal troubles. No staff, no guards, no cameras. At least, that's what they thought. Julian pushed open the front door. Dust covered the marble floor. Amara looked around. This place feels dead. It was never really alive. Julian said. They entered Reginald's old study. Julian began searching the bookshelves. Amara opened drawers. Victoria searched the desk. Nothing. Julian pulled open another drawer. Then he noticed a strange mark beneath the desk, a small metal plate. He pressed it. A section of the wall moved. Amara stared. A hidden room. Julian nodded. They stepped inside. The room contained dozens of boxes. Photographs, bank records, medical documents. Julian opened the first box. His expression changed. Amara. She came closer. Inside were photographs of her pregnant, walking into the hospital, holding Zion, and photographs of another baby, a baby girl. Amara's knees weakened. Why would he have all of this? Julian pulled out another folder. Because he was watching you. She opened it. The first page contained one sentence. Subject, Amara, wit fouled. Below, it was a timeline. Age 19. Pregnancy discovered. Age 19. Contact with Julian Ashford terminated. Male child born. Then another line. Fuel child removed. Amara's hands shook. Female child removed. Julian looked over her shoulder. Who authorized it? Amara turned the page. A signature. Reginald Ashford. Underneath, approved. Julian stared. My father. Then another signature appeared. Amara's blood turned cold. Grandma. Odessa's signature. Julian looked at her. Why would she sign this? I don't know. Amara turned another page. A note was attached. Femul chilled. Must to Amara until the Ashford succession matter is resolved. Julian's jaw clenched. Succession. Amara stared at him. They weren't protecting me. No, they were using my children, yes. Her eyes filled with tears. Why? Julian took her hand. Because my father believed blood was power. Amara looked at him. And now, Julian's eyes hardened. Now he has no power. A sound came from behind them. A slow clap. They turned. Preston stood in the doorway. You always were dramatic, Julian. Julian stepped forward. How did you get in? Preston smiled. Your father gave me access years ago. Where are the children? Safe. Where? You're asking the wrong question. Julian's voice became dangerous. Where are Zion and Maya? Preston looked at Amara. Do you know what your problem is? Amara stared at him. No. You've spent your whole life believing everyone around you was trying to protect you. He stepped closer. But they weren't. Amara said nothing. They were protecting a secret. What secret? Preston smiled. The 3rd baby. Julian froze. What 3rd baby? Preston looked between them. That's what you've been missing, Amara whispered. Who was the 3rd child? Preston laughed. That's the question, isn't it? Julian grabbed his collar. "Tell me." Preston didn't resist. Instead, he whispered, "Your father wasn't trying to control an heir." Julian's eyes narrowed. "What then?" "He was trying to hide one." "Who?" Preston looked directly at Amara. "Your brother." Amara's face went pale. "I don't have a brother," Preston smiled. "You did when?" 10 years ago." Amara stared. "No, yes. Julian released him. Where is he?" Preston's smile vanished. "He's dead." Amara's heart broke. "What?" "He died the night he was born." Julian looked at the files. "That makes no sense." "It does if you know the truth." Preston pointed to the documents. 3 babies were born that night. He raised 3 fingers, Zion, Maya, and a 3rd child. Amara whispered, "Who was his mother?" Preston looked at her. Silence. Amara shook her head. "No." "You gave birth to 3 children." Julian stared. "Triplets." Preston nodded. "But only 2 survived." Amara's hand flew to her mouth. "I would have known." "No, of course I would have known. You were unconscious." Julian stepped forward. "Where is the medical record?" "Destroyed." "Why?" Preston's expression became cold. "Because the 3rd child was born with a condition." "What condition?" Preston looked toward the doorway. "Something that made Reginald terrified." Amara's voice trembled. "What?" Preston whispered. "The child was not genetically related to Reginald." Julian froze. "What? The boy was yours?" Amara stared. "That doesn't make sense." "It does." Preston looked at Julian. "Because the 3rd child wasn't fathered by you." Julian's expression changed. "Then who?" Preston smiled. "That's the secret your father killed people to protect." Suddenly the estate lights came on. Every door locked automatically. Victoria shouted from the hallway. "Julian!" A loud metallic click echoed. The sound of weapons being loaded. Preston stepped backward. "You should have stayed out of your father's business." Julian moved in front of Amara. "Where are my children?" Preston answered quietly. "Where they can finally meet their real father." Amara's heart stopped. "What?" Preston smiled. "You heard me." Julian's face went pale. "Who?" Preston looked directly at Amara. "The man who fathered your 3rd child." He paused. "And the man who is the reason your entire life was built on a lie." A voice suddenly came from the hallway. "You really should stop talking, Preston." Everyone turned. The man standing there was older. Grey hair, dark suit. Walking with a cane. Amara stared. Julian stopped breathing. It was Reginald Ashford, alive and smiling. "Hello, son." Julian's face hardened. "You're supposed to be under federal supervision." Reginald smiled. "I was." He looked at Amara. "But some secrets are worth breaking every rule for." Amara stepped backward. "You took my children." Reginald shook his head. "No." He looked toward the hallway. "I protected them. Where are they?" Reginald smiled. Together, Julian's voice became a whisper. "Bring them here." Reginald shook his head. "Not yet." "Why?" "Because first," he looked directly at Amara, "you need to know who your children's father really is." Then a screen on the wall turned on. A live video appeared. Zion and Maya were sitting together. Both were frightened. And behind them stood a man. Amara stared. Her breath caught. Julian looked at the screen. His face turned completely white, because he recognized the man. The same man everyone had believed was dead. Nathaniel Cross. But Nathaniel wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking at Maya, and when he spoke, his words destroyed everything Julian thought he knew. "Hello, Amara." He smiled. "I'm your children's father." The words echoed through the room. Amara couldn't move. Julian couldn't breathe. Even Reginald's smile disappeared for a moment. On the screen, Nathaniel Cross stood behind Zion and Maya with one hand resting on the back of a chair. Zion looked frightened. Maya looked confused. And Amara could only stare at the man everyone had told her was dead. "No," Julian whispered. Nathaniel smiled. "Yes." Julian stepped toward the screen. "You're dead." "I've heard that before." "You died 15 years ago, according to your father's records." Julian looked at Reginald. "You knew." Reginald didn't answer. "You knew he was alive." "Yes." "You knew he was the father." Reginald slowly nodded. Julian's face tightened. "You've been lying to me my entire life." Reginald looked almost amused. Not your entire life. Then tell me when you started. When you were old enough to understand that power matters. Julian clenched his fists. You destroyed Amara's life. Reginald shook his head. No, he looked at Amara. She destroyed mine. Amara stared at him. I've never even met you. You've met my influence. What did I ever do to you? You existed. The answer made Amara's blood run cold. Reginald continued, you were born into a family that owed me everything. My family owed you money. Your father owed me more than money. What? His loyalty. Julian stepped between them. Enough. Reginald looked at him. You still think this is about Amara? It's about my children. No. Reginald pointed toward the screen. It's about blood. Nathaniel's voice came through the speakers. Reginald. Reginald turned. What? You promised. I know what I promised. Then finish this. Amara stared at Nathaniel. What do you want? Nathaniel looked directly into the camera. I want my children. Amara's heart broke. You don't know them. I've watched them for 10 years. Zion looked up at Nathaniel. You're lying. Nathaniel's expression changed. Zion. You're not my father. Nathaniel looked surprised. Why would you say that? Because my dad is Julian. Julian's eyes filled with tears. Nathaniel smiled sadly. You've been told that. Zion shook his head. I know who my father is. Maya looked at Zion. He's right. Nathaniel looked at her. Maya, you're not my father either. Nathaniel's smile disappeared. Children don't understand adult decisions. Maya stood. You don't understand us. Reginald suddenly shouted. Enough! The children went silent. Amara stepped toward the screen. Don't speak to them like that. Reginald looked at her. You've always been stubborn, and you've always been cruel. His expression hardened. You have no idea what I've sacrificed. I don't care. You will. Amara shook her head. No. She looked at Julian. We're getting them out. Julian nodded. Absolutely. He turned toward the nearest door. A guard blocked it. Julian stopped. Move. The guard didn't. Julian looked at Reginald. You brought me here because you wanted something. Reginald smiled. Finally, tell me. I want you to sign the Ashford succession agreement. Julian laughed bitterly. That's it? No. Reginald looked at Amara. I want Amara to sign the guardianship transfer. Her face went cold. You want custody of my children. Temporary guardianship. You're insane, perhaps. Reginald turned toward Julian. But if you refuse... The screen changed. Zion and Maya were shown from another angle. A man stood behind them holding a phone. Reginald said, Your children disappear. Julian's face hardened. You wouldn't hurt them. No, Reginald smiled. I don't need to. He pointed toward the screen. Nathaniel will. Nathaniel stared at him. You said nobody would hurt them. Reginald looked at him. And I intend to keep that promise. Nathaniel's expression changed. You'd better. Amara noticed something. Nathaniel was afraid. Not of Julian, not of her, of Reginald. That meant something. She leaned toward Julian. Look at him. Julian frowned. What? He's afraid. Julian looked again. Amara whispered, Nathaniel isn't working with Reginald. Julian's eyes narrowed. He's trapped. She nodded. Exactly. Marcus arrived outside the estate. He had brought federal agents. But the electronic security system had locked down the entire property. He called Julian. No answer. He called again. Nothing. Then he noticed something. A camera above the front gate. He looked at his laptop. Come on. He hacked into the system. The screen flickered. A live feed appeared. Marcus saw Julian, Amara, Reginald. Then Nathaniel. Marcus froze. No way. He zoomed in. Nathaniel looked older, but unmistakable. Marcus immediately called his contact at the FBI. Cancel the perimeter breach. What? We need to negotiate. Why? Because the man inside is not who we thought he was. Inside the estate, Reginald placed a folder on the table. Sign. Julian didn't touch it. Where are the children? Safe. Show me. Reginald nodded. The screen showed Zion and Maya again. This time they were sitting in a different room. Zion looked at Maya. You okay? Maya nodded. I think so. Zion whispered. We have to get out. How? I don't know. Maya looked around. There, what? A vent. Zion followed her eyes. A small ventilation panel was loose. They waited until the guard stepped outside. Then Maya climbed onto the chair. Zion helped her. The panel came loose. Behind it was a narrow passage. Maya looked at him. Go. You first. No. Why? Because if someone comes, I want to know. Zion frowned. You're my sister. Maya looked at him. And you're my brother. They smiled, then crawled into the vent, back inside the study. Reginald waited. Julian finally picked up the pen. Amara grabbed his wrist. Don't. Julian looked at her. If I don't, they could hurt the children. But if you sign, he controls everything. Not everything. Reginald smiled. You're learning. Julian stared at him. What happens after I sign? I release the children. And Amara. She walks away. Julian looked at Amara. She doesn't walk away. Reginald raised an eyebrow. No, she stays with me. Reginald laughed. You really believe you can protect her? Yes, you couldn't protect her 10 years ago. Julian's eyes filled with anger. I was young. You were weak. I was manipulated. You were controlled. Julian stepped closer. And now? Reginald smiled. Now you're still standing in my house. Julian suddenly grabbed Reginald by the collar. 2 guards raised their weapons. Amara shouted, Julian! He stopped, slowly released him. Reginald straightened his suit. You see, he smiled, you still react exactly the way I expect. Julian said nothing. Then Amara spoke. You made one mistake. Reginald looked at her. What? You told us what you wanted. Reginald's smile disappeared. Amara continued. You want Julian's signature? Yes. You want guardianship? Yes. And you want control of the inheritance? Yes. She nodded. Then you need us alive. Reginald stared at her. Amara smiled faintly. Which means you can't kill us. Reginald's eyes narrowed. You're right. She took one step closer. So we're negotiating. Julian looked at her. Reginald smiled. For the first time, he nodded. You sound like an Ashford. Amara's expression hardened. No. She looked at him. I sound like a mother. Inside the ventilation tunnel, Zion and Maya crawled through darkness. Maya whispered, There's light ahead. They moved forward. The tunnel opened into a small room. Maya climbed down. Zion followed. They looked around. Old files covered the walls. Photographs, documents, medical records. Maya picked up a folder. Her eyes widened. Zion. He looked over. What? She handed him the file. It contained their names, but beneath them was another name, Daniel Cross. Zion frowned. Who's Daniel? Maya looked at the photograph attached. Her face went pale. That's him. Who? The man who took us. Zion stared. Nathaniel? Maya shook her head. No, she pointed to the picture. Daniel Cross. Zion's eyes widened. But Nathaniel's name is Nathaniel, Maya whispered. Then who is Nathaniel? Footsteps echoed outside. They quickly hid behind a cabinet. The door opened. 2 men entered. One spoke. Reginald wants them moved. The second answered. Which ones? Both children. Where? The underground facility. When? Tonight. Zion grabbed Maya's hand. They waited. The men left. Maya whispered, underground facility. Zion nodded. We have to tell Mom. How? Zion looked at the old computer on the desk. Maybe that. Back in the study, Julian was still refusing to sign. Reginald's patience was disappearing. Sign the agreement. No, then I will make this painful. You already did. Julian looked at Amara. 10 years ago. Then he looked back at Reginald. You took 10 years from me. Reginald shrugged. And you survived. Julian's voice cracked. You took 10 years from my son. Reginald smiled. I gave him a better life. Amara stepped forward. You never even met him. I watched. That isn't fatherhood. No. Reginald looked at Julian. That's why I needed Nathaniel. Julian froze. What does that mean? Reginald said nothing. Amara noticed his hesitation. You didn't hire Nathaniel to be the father. Reginald looked at her. No. Then why? Because Nathaniel was the only person who could keep the children hidden. Julian's eyes narrowed. From whom? Reginald's expression changed. From the people who wanted them dead. Silence. Amara whispered. Who? Reginald looked at her. Your father. Amara froze. My father, yes, my father wanted my children dead. Reginald nodded. He wanted the Ashford family destroyed. Julian looked stunned. Why? Reginald answered. Because he discovered the third child. Amara's heart stopped. You're lying. No. What third child? Reginald's eyes moved toward her. The child you never knew existed. Julian stepped closer. Where is he? Reginald smiled. That's what Nathaniel was protecting. Amara shook her head. You said he died. I said that's what everyone believed. Julian's face changed. You're saying the third child survived? Reginald nodded. Yes. Where? Before Reginald could answer, every light in the estate went out. A scream came through the speakers, then a child's voice. Mum! Amara recognized Zion. Zion! She ran toward the door. Gunshots erupted. Julian grabbed her. Stay behind me. No. The screen flickered back on. Zion appeared. He was holding Maya's hand. And standing behind them was Nathaniel. But this time Nathaniel wasn't smiling. He looked terrified. Julian. Julian stared at the screen. What happened? Nathaniel looked behind him. They found us. Who? Nathaniel's eyes filled with fear. The people Reginald has been hiding from. Then the screen went black. A second later a message appeared. You have 10 minutes. Find the third child. Doyu lose all three. Amara's blood ran cold. All three. Julian stared at the screen, then looked at Reginald. Where is the third child? Reginald didn't answer. Julian grabbed him. Where? Reginald smiled. You already know him. Amara stared. What? Reginald looked directly at her. You've seen him. She shook her head. No. Yes. When? Reginald whispered. Every day. Amara's eyes widened. She suddenly understood, or thought she did. She turned toward Julian. Zion? Julian shook his head. No, then who? Reginald smiled. Ask the child who has been calling you Mum. Amara's heart stopped. The implication was impossible. But before she could speak, Marcus's voice came through Julian's phone. Julian. What? We found the location. Where? Marcus hesitated. Your old family hospital. Julian froze. That hospital was demolished. No. Marcus's voice became urgent. The building above ground was demolished. What about underneath? Silence. Then Marcus whispered, There's a basement. Julian looked at Reginald. Reginald smiled. Amara's heart began pounding. The third child, Julian finished the sentence, was never taken away. He looked toward the dark hallway. He was hidden underneath the hospital. Amara grabbed his hand. Then let's go. Julian nodded. They ran. Behind them, Reginald laughed. Because there was one thing they still didn't know. The third child wasn't waiting for them. He had already escaped. And he was coming for Amara. The old Ashford hospital had been abandoned for years. But beneath its broken foundation, someone had kept one secret alive. A child Amara had never known existed, and now that child was coming for her. Julian and Amara raced through the rain toward the hospital while Marcus followed close behind. Neither spoke. There was nothing left to say. The truth had become too enormous. 3 children, 1 night, 10 years of lies. And someone had spent a decade making sure Amara never discovered what had really happened. As they reached the hospital gates, Marcus pulled his vehicle alongside theirs. He jumped out. The entrance is through the old emergency wing. Julian nodded. Security dead. What? Marcus shook his head. Not dead people, dead systems. No electricity, no cameras, no working elevators. Amara looked at the dark building. How do we get underground? Marcus pointed toward the back. There used to be a service tunnel. Julian grabbed a flashlight. Let's go. Amara followed. Rain soaked them within seconds. They reached a rusted metal door. Marcus forced it open. A staircase disappeared beneath the ground. Amara looked down, her stomach twisted. This is where they kept him. Marcus nodded. According to the old architectural plans, Julian took her hand. We'll find him. She looked at him. You promise? I promise. They descended. The air became colder with every step. The walls were covered in peeling paint. Old medical signs hung crookedly. Pediatric ward, neonatal unit, restricted area. Amara stopped, her eyes filled with tears. This is where I gave birth. Julian looked at her. I know, I remember the smell. She closed her eyes, the lights. Her voice trembled. I remember hearing a baby cry. Julian's expression changed. What I remember? She looked down the corridor. There were 2 cries. Julian froze. 2? Amara nodded. Maybe 3. She pressed her hand against her forehead. I thought I was imagining it. Marcus looked at them. You might not have been, they continued. At the end of the hallway was a metal door. A keypad was attached. Marcus examined it. No power. Julian noticed a small mechanical lock beneath it. He pulled out an old key. Amara stared. Where did you get that? From my father's desk. You had it all this time? I didn't know what it opened. He inserted it. The lock clicked. The door opened. Inside was a room filled with old files, medical equipment, and a single bed. The bed was empty, but there was something sitting on it. A child's photograph. Amara walked toward it. She picked it up. Her heart stopped. The child in the photograph was approximately 10 years old. A boy, dark curls, brown eyes, and a small mark beneath his left eye, the same mark as Zion, the same mark as Maya. Amara whispered, "My son." Julian looked at her. No. She turned. What? Julian pointed toward the photograph. Look at the date. Amara checked. 10 years ago. Then she looked at the boy again. He looks like Zion. Marcus shook his head. He looks like all 3 of them. Amara's breathing became shallow. Who is he? A voice answered from behind them. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Everyone turned. Nathaniel stood in the doorway. Julian immediately moved in front of Amara. Where are the children? Safe. Where? Nathaniel looked exhausted. Not here. Then why did you bring us here? Because this is where it started. Amara stepped forward. Who is the boy? Nathaniel looked at the photograph, then at her. His name is Daniel. Daniel Cross? Nathaniel nodded. No, Julian frowned. Then who? Nathaniel took a breath. Daniel Whitfield. Amara's knees almost gave out. My son? Nathaniel nodded. Your 3rd child. Julian stared. Then why did everyone say he died? Nathaniel looked away. Because Reginald ordered it. Why? Because Daniel was different. Amara's voice broke. Different how? Nathaniel hesitated. He was born with a rare blood condition. Julian frowned. That doesn't explain why Reginald would hide him. Nathaniel looked at him. Because the condition wasn't the only problem. What was? Nathaniel answered quietly. Daniel's DNA. Julian froze. What about it? He wasn't biologically related to the Ashford family. Amara stared. You said I was his mother. You are. Then who was his father? Nathaniel looked directly at Julian. You! Julian's eyes widened. What? Nathaniel nodded. Daniel was your biological son. Amara's breath caught. But you said the 3rd child wasn't fathered by Julian. Nathaniel shook his head. I lied. Julian stepped toward him. Why? Because Reginald made me. You expect me to believe that? No. Nathaniel looked exhausted. I expect you to understand that I had no choice. Julian grabbed him. You took my children. Nathaniel didn't fight. I protected them. You kidnapped them. I saved them. From what? Nathaniel's eyes filled with anger. From your father. Julian released him. Nathaniel continued. Reginald wasn't the mastermind. Amara stared. Then who was? Nathaniel looked at her. Your father. Silence. My father. Yes. Why would my father hurt his own grandchildren? Because he believed your family had been betrayed. By whom? Nathaniel's eyes moved toward Julian. By him. Julian stared. Me. Your father believed you had stolen something from him. What? His future. Julian shook his head. That makes no sense. Nathaniel looked at Amara. It will. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small USB drive, and handed it to Julian. Watch this. They entered the old medical office. Marcus connected the USB drive to his laptop. A video appeared. The date was 10 years ago. The hospital. Amara was unconscious. A nurse stood beside her. A doctor stood near the bed. And Reginald entered. Amara watched in horror. Reginald approached the newborn bassinets. 3 babies, 3 tiny children. He looked at them, then said, "The girl goes first." The nurse nodded. "And the boys?" "The first boy stays, and the second?" Reginald stared at the baby. That one disappears. Amara covered her mouth. Julian stared at the screen. That's Daniel. Nathaniel nodded. The video continued. Reginald picked up the baby, then stopped. Someone entered. It was Odessa. She screamed, "Put him down!" Reginald turned. "You don't understand. He's her child. I know. You can't take him. He will destroy everything." Odessa stepped toward him. "No." Reginald looked at her. "You signed the agreement. I changed my mind. You don't get to change your mind." Odessa grabbed the baby. Reginald pulled a gun. Amara began crying. Julian looked away. The video continued. Then another person entered, Amara's father. He looked at Reginald. "What did you do?" Reginald answered, "Your daughter gave birth to 3 children. Amara's father stared at the babies. "And one of them belongs to me." "What?" Reginald smiled. "Your daughter doesn't know." Amara's father looked horrified. "You promised. I promised you money. Not this." Reginald pointed toward the baby. "You want your debts forgiven?" "Yes." "Then take the boy." Amara's father froze. "No." Reginald smiled. "Then your family loses everything." The video stopped. Amara stared at the blank screen. "My father took Daniel." Nathaniel nodded. "He did." "Where?" "He gave him to someone." "Who?" Nathaniel hesitated. "A woman named Eleanor." Julian's face changed. "Eleanor?" "My grandmother." Nathaniel nodded. "Eleanor raised Daniel," Amara whispered. "Then where is she?" Nathaniel looked toward the hallway. "Dead." "When?" 6 years ago." "Then who has Daniel now?" Nathaniel didn't answer. Julian grabbed his shoulder. "Who?" Nathaniel looked at Amara. "Your brother." Amara froze. "What brother?" Nathaniel shook his head. "Not your biological brother." "What does that mean?" "He is the man who raised Daniel." Julian frowned. "Who?" Nathaniel's voice dropped. Marcus silence. Marcus looked up from the laptop. "What?" Nathaniel stared at him. "Marcus Ashford." Marcus's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." Nathaniel stepped closer. "You've known about Daniel for 10 years. Marcus shook his head. "No, you were there. No, you helped move him. No." Julian looked at his brother. "Marcus." Marcus stared at him. "I swear to you." Nathaniel pulled out another photograph. It showed Marcus standing beside a hospital bed, holding a newborn. The timestamp was clear. The 19th of June, 10 years ago. Julian stared. "Marcus." Marcus's eyes withered. "I can explain." Amara stepped forward. "Then explain." Marcus looked at her. "I didn't know he was your son." "What did you think?" "I thought he was a patient." "Why were you holding him?" Marcus looked down. "Because he was dying." Amara's face crumpled. "What?" "The doctors said he wouldn't survive the night." Julian stared. "You never told me. I was 23. You were my brother. I was afraid." "Of what?" Marcus whispered. "Of Dad." Julian's expression changed. "You knew." Marcus nodded. "I knew something had happened." "What?" "I saw Reginald take one of the babies." Amara's voice broke. "Which one?" Marcus looked at her. "Daniel." She closed her eyes. "And you did nothing." "I tried." "How?" "I followed them." "Where?" "To the basement." Marcus pointed toward the corridor. "I saw your father hand the baby to Nathaniel." Nathaniel nodded. "And then?" Marcus's voice shook. "Then I was told the baby was dead." Amara stared. "You believe them?" "Yes." Marcus looked at her. "I was young, so was I." He lowered his head. "I know." Amara couldn't speak. Then Julian's phone rang. New number. He answered. A girl's voice whispered, "Dad." Julian froze. "Maya?" "No." The voice was male. "It's Daniel." Amara's heart stopped. Julian's eyes widened. "Daniel?" "Yes." "Where are you?" "I don't know." "Are you with Zion and Maya?" "Yes." "Are they safe?" "For now." "Who has you?" Daniel hesitated, then whispered, "Your father." Julian looked at Reginald. Reginald was smiling. "Put him on speaker." Julian did. Daniel's voice came through. "I need you to listen." Julian nodded. "I'm listening." "Don't trust Nathaniel." Nathaniel's expression changed. "Daniel, don't let him talk to you." Amara stepped closer. "Daniel." The line went silent. Then the boy whispered, "Mom." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, I've been waiting for you." She covered her mouth. "Where are you?" I don't know. Can you see anything? A clock. What time? 3:47. Anything else? A red door. Marcus suddenly looked up. The old emergency shelter. Julian turned. What? Marcus grabbed the laptop. There was a shelter underneath the hospital. Where? Behind the surgical wing. They ran. The underground corridor seemed endless. Amara ran faster than she had ever run. Her heart pounded. Her daughter. Her sons. All 3 children, somewhere beneath the hospital. Alive waiting. Julian caught up beside her. Amara. She didn't stop. We're coming. They reached a red metal door. A digital clock above it read 3:47. Amara froze. That's it. Julian reached for the handle. Locked. Marcus examined it. Stand back. He forced the mechanism. The door opened. Inside was a small room, 3 beds, 3 chairs. And on the wall, 3 names, Zune, Maya, Daniel. Amara began crying. They were all here. Julian looked around. Recently. A blanket was still warm. Someone had been here. Then a small voice came from behind a second door. Mom? Amara turned. The door opened. Zion ran into her arms. Mama! She hugged him tightly. Oh God! Maya stepped through next. Amara looked at her. For the first time she saw her daughter. Not a photograph, not a file, not a secret. Her daughter. Maya hesitated. Are you really my mum? Amara knelt. Yes. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Then why didn't you come for me? Amara broke. I didn't know you existed. Maya ran into her arms. Amara held her. I would have come. I know. I would have found you. I know. Julian watched them, his eyes filled with tears. Then he noticed something. Where is Daniel? Zion looked behind him. He was here. Maya nodded. He helped us escape. Where is he? The children pointed toward the hallway. He went to find Dad. Julian froze. Which Dad? Zion looked at him. You. Julian turned toward the corridor. A gunshot echoed. Amara screamed. Daniel, they ran. At the end of the corridor they found an empty room, a broken chair, blood on the floor, and a single note. Julian picked it up. His hands trembled. The note contained only 4 words. I chose you, Mom. Amara looked around frantically. No. She grabbed Julian. Find him. I will. Find my son. I promise. Then Marcus noticed something beneath the blood. A small hospital bracelet. He picked it up. The name on it was not Daniel. It read, Baby Boy. Marcus looked at Julian. There were never 3 babies. Julian stared. What? Marcus pointed to the bracelet. There were 4. Everyone froze. And somewhere deep beneath the hospital, a newborn's cry echoed through the darkness. A newborn's cry echoed through the underground hospital. Amara froze. Julian slowly turned toward the darkness. Marcus whispered, There can't be another baby. But the cry came again, louder, closer. Amara's heart began pounding. Someone is down there. Julian grabbed the flashlight. We're going. They moved through the corridor. Following the sound, Zion stayed close to Amara. Maya held his hand. Marcus followed behind them. The abandoned hospital seemed to breathe around them. Every pipe creaked, every door groaned. Then they reached another metal door. The crying stopped. Julian tried the handle, locked. Marcus examined the keypad. There is power running to this room. Can you open it? Give me a minute. Amara pressed her ear against the door. Nothing then. A tiny cry, her eyes filled with tears. There's a baby. Marcus finally opened the lock. The door swung inward. Inside was a small medical room. An incubator stood beneath a dim light, and inside it was a newborn baby. Amara covered her mouth. Oh my God. Julian stepped closer. A note was taped to the incubator. He removed it. His hands began shaking. The note contained 1 sentence. This child was never supposed to be. Amara looked at the baby. Who is he? Marcus checked the monitor. No identification. Julian looked around. Where is the mother? No idea. Amara stepped closer. The baby's tiny hand moved. She reached toward him. The moment her finger touched his palm, he stopped crying. Amara's eyes filled with tears. He knows me. Julian looked at her. Maybe babies just respond to touch. No, she shook her head. He knows me. Maya stepped forward. Mom. Amara looked at her. What? Maya stared at the baby. He has the same eyes as me. Zion leaned closer. And the same mark. Everyone froze. The baby had the tiny mark beneath his left eye, the same mark shared by Zion and Maya. Marcus stared. That's impossible. Julian looked at him. What? Marcus whispered. All 4 children have the same genetic marker. Amara's heart stopped. All 4? Marcus nodded. But that doesn't mean they're all siblings. Julian looked toward the baby. Then what does it mean? Marcus didn't answer. Suddenly, the baby's monitor beamed. Fast, too fast. Marcus rushed forward. His heart rate is dropping. Amara stepped back. What do we do? Get me the emergency kit. Julian grabbed it. Marcus opened it. The baby's heart rate continued falling. Come on, Marcus whispered. He adjusted the monitor. Nothing. Then the baby stopped crying. The line on the screen flattened. Amara screamed. No! Marcus began emergency treatment. Stay back. That's my baby. You don't know that. Amara froze. Julian held her. Marcus worked desperately. Then, beep. Another beep. The heart rate returned. Amara collapsed against Julian. The baby began crying. Marcus exhaled. He's alive. Julian looked at the child. Who is he? Marcus stared at the monitor. I don't know. Then the room's computer screen suddenly activated. A message appeared. Child 4. Step active. Julian stared. Child 4. Marcus nodded. Someone knew about him. Amara stepped closer. Another line appeared. Biological mother, Amara Whitfeld. Amara stopped breathing. No, Julian looked at the screen. It's impossible. Another line appeared. Biological father. Then the screen went black. Amara stared at the baby. He's mine. Julian looked at her. Maybe. She turned toward him. Maybe we need proof. Amara shook her head. I don't need a test to know my own child. Julian's expression softened. You've already been lied to once. She looked down. I know. So we make sure nobody lies to you again. A few minutes later, Marcus found another file. It was hidden beneath the medical table. The cover read, Project 4. Inside were photographs. Amara during pregnancy, Zion Maya Daniel, and the 4th baby. Julian's face hardened. What is this? Marcus turned the page. A handwritten note read, The 4 children are part of the same experiment. Amara stared. Experiment? Marcus nodded. What kind of experiment? He turned another page. The answer was worse. Genetic compatibility. Julian's eyes narrowed. Someone was studying them. Why? Marcus continued reading. Because all 4 children share a rare genetic marker. Amara looked at the baby. What does the marker do? Marcus hesitated. It may protect against a specific hereditary disease. Julian looked at him. What disease? Marcus looked up. Cardiac degeneration. Silence. Julian's face changed. My father. Marcus nodded. Reginald has it. Amara stared. And my children may carry the genetic protection. Julian understood. That was why he wanted them. Marcus nodded. Your father wasn't trying to create an heir. He wanted a cure. Yes. Amara looked at the baby. So he experimented on my children to save himself. Marcus lowered his eyes. Yes. Julian's fists tightened. I'll kill him. Amara grabbed his arm. No. Julian looked at her. We need him alive. Why? Because he knows where Daniel is. Julian's anger turned into determination. You're right. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Daniel ran through an underground tunnel. He was only 10 years old, but fear had made him faster. He knew the men were following him. He could hear their footsteps. Daniel! He kept running. He reached a locked gate. No way out. He turned. 2 men approached. Daniel backed away. Don't come closer. One man smiled. We're not going to hurt you. You're lying. The man stopped. Your father wants you. Daniel frowned. My father? Yes, which one? The man smiled. The one who never knew you existed. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Julian? No. The man's smile disappeared. Your biological father. Daniel shook his head. I don't know him. You will. The man reached for him. Suddenly another figure attacked from behind, Nathaniel. He knocked the man to the floor. Run. Daniel didn't hesitate. He ran. Nathaniel fought the second man. Then a gunshot echoed. Nathaniel fell. Daniel stopped. Mr. Cross! Nathaniel shouted, "Run!" Daniel ran. He disappeared into the darkness. At the same time, Reginald sat inside the old study. Julian entered alone. Reginald looked up. "You came back." Julian closed the door. "Where is Daniel?" Reginald smiled. "You're beginning to understand." "Answer me. He's alive. Where? Safe where?" Reginald sighed. "You always were impatient." Julian stepped closer. "My son is 10 years old, and he deserves to know who his parents are." Reginald stared at him. "Does he?" Julian froze. "What does that mean? Ask Amara." Julian's expression hardened. "Leave her out of this." "I can't." "Why?" "Because she is the reason all of this happened." Julian stepped forward. "You manipulated her." "No, you manipulated me." "No, you stole our children." Reginald's voice became quiet. "I saved them." Julian laughed bitterly. "You call this saving?" "Yes." "From what?" Reginald looked toward the window. "From a war you haven't even seen." Julian frowned. "What war?" "Between two families, Ashford and Whitfield." Reginald nodded. "Your father and her father were once partners, and then they became enemies." "Why?" Reginald looked at him. "Because your father discovered that Amara's father had stolen something." "What research?" Julian stared. "What research?" "Genetic research. The same research that had been performed on the children." Julian's expression changed. "You're telling me this started before I was born?" "Yes." "And Amara's family was involved?" "Yes." "Then why did you blame Amara?" "I didn't. You separated us." "I was trying to prevent a blood feud." Julian stared. "You kidnapped children." "I hid them." "You lied." "I protected them." Julian shook his head. "You keep using the word protection." Reginald looked at him. "Because you still don't understand. Then explain." Reginald's voice dropped. "Your mother didn't die of natural causes." Julian froze. "What?" "She was murdered." Julian stared. "My mother?" "Yes, by whom?" Reginald looked toward the door. "Amara's father." Julian's face went pale. "No, yes, you're lying." "I wish I were." Julian stepped backward. "Why?" "Because she discovered the children." "What children?" "The 4. Julian's eyes widened. "She knew." "She tried to stop the experiment." "What happened?" "She was killed." Julian stared at him. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were 18. You could have told me later." "I tried." "When?" "Every time you came close to the truth, someone tried to kill you." Julian's face hardened. "Who?" Reginald whispered. "Your own family." Amara sat beside the newborn. She couldn't stop looking at him. Maya sat on her other side. Zian stood nearby. All 3 children were now together, or almost. Daniel was still missing. Amara touched the baby's tiny fingers. "What should we call him?" Zion smiled. "What about Noah?" Maya looked at him. "Why Noah? Because he survived." Amara smiled through tears. "Noah." Julian entered. He looked devastated. Amara immediately knew. "What happened?" Julian sat beside her. "My mother was murdered." Amara stared. "What?" "Reginald says your father did it." Amara shook her head. "My father died years ago." "Reginald says he ordered the murder." "That can't be true." Julian looked at her. "Nothing seems impossible anymore." Amara looked down at Noah, then she whispered, "What if we're all being lied to again?" Julian took her hand. "Then we'll find the truth ourselves." Maya suddenly stood. "Mom!" Amara looked at her. "What?" Maya pointed toward the door. "Someone is there." Everyone froze. Julian reached for his weapon. The door slowly opened. A small boy stepped inside. 10 years old, dark curls. Tears running down his cheeks. Amara's heart stopped. "Daniel?" The boy looked at her. His lips trembled. "Mom?" Amara stood. She couldn't move. Daniel took one step toward her, then another. He looked at Zion, then Maya, then the baby. "We're all here." Amara covered her mouth. Daniel ran into her arms. She fell to her knees. She held him like she had been waiting for him her entire life. "My baby," Daniel cried against her shoulder. "I thought you didn't want me." "No, I thought you forgot me." "Never, you didn't know." "I didn't." He pulled back. "I'm sorry. You have nothing to apologize for." Daniel looked at Julian. "Is that my dad?" Julian couldn't answer. He was crying. He nodded. "Yes." Daniel stared at him, then slowly walked forward. Julian knelt. For a moment, father and son simply looked at each other. Then Daniel whispered, "I've been waiting." Julian pulled him into his arms, and for the first time in 10 years, the family Reginald had tried to destroy was standing together, but their reunion lasted only seconds. The hospital light suddenly turned red. An alarm began screaming. Marcus looked at the computer. His face went pale. "Everyone back." Julian stood. "What? The hospital is going into lockdown. Why?" Marcus pointed at the screen. Someone had accessed the system. A new message appeared. 4 children confirmed. Phase 2 begins now. Amara looked at Julian. "What is phase 2? Before anyone could answer, every door slammed shut. The baby Noah began crying. Maya grabbed Zion's hand. Daniel stepped closer to Julian. Then a voice came through the hospital speakers. "Congratulations, Amara." She froze. The voice belonged to a woman. "Your children are finally together," Julian shouted. "Who are you?" The woman laughed softly. "The woman who has been watching them since birth." Amara's heart pounded. "Show yourself." "Soon." "Why are you doing this?" The voice became colder. "Because you still don't understand what your children are capable of." Amara looked at the 4 children. "What do you mean?" The woman whispered. "They aren't just your children." A pause. "They are the key." The speakers went silent, then the lights went out. And in the darkness, someone opened the door from the inside. The door opened from the inside. Nobody moved. Julian immediately stepped in front of Amara and "Stay behind me." Marcus raised his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness. Nothing. Only an empty corridor. Amara looked at the 4 children. Zion was holding Maya's hand. Daniel stood beside Julian. And baby Noah was crying in Amara's arms. Then the hospital speakers crackled again. "Julian," he looked up. "Who are you?" A woman's laughter echoed through the building. "You really don't recognize my voice?" Julian froze. Amara noticed. "You know her?" "No." "Yes, you do." The woman spoke again. "You've heard me before." Julian's face suddenly changed. "Victoria," silence, then laughter. "No." The voice became colder. "Try again." Julian's eyes narrowed. "Eleanor." Amara froze. "My grandmother." The voice laughed. "Your grandmother is dead." Julian stared at the speakers. "Then who are you?" The answer came slowly. "I am the woman your father was afraid of," Marcus whispered. "Helena." Julian turned. "Who?" Marcus looked terrified. "Helena Ashford." Julian shook his head. "That name means nothing." "It should." Marcus looked at Amara. "Helena was your grandmother's sister." Amara's eyes widened. "My grandmother had a sister?" "Yes. Why have I never heard of her?" Marcus swallowed. "Because Reginald erased her." The speakers crackled. "Not erased," the woman corrected him. "Buried." A hidden monitor suddenly turned on. A woman's face appeared. She was in her 60s, elegant, calm, and frighteningly familiar. Amara stared. There was something about her eyes, something she had seen before. "Who are you?" The woman smiled. "Your great-aunt." Amara's heart pounded. "Helena?" "Yes. Where are you?" "Close. Show yourself." "Not yet." Julian stepped toward the camera. "What do you want?" Helena looked directly at him. "You." "Why?" "Because you have spent your entire life believing your father was the villain." Julian's expression hardened. "He kidnapped children." "He did." "He destroyed families." "He did." "He lied to me." "He did." Julian frowned. "Then why are you defending him?" "I am not." Helena leaned closer to the camera. "I am telling you he was not the first." Amara tightened her hold on Noah. "Then who started this?" Helena looked at her. "Your mother." Amara froze. "My mother?" "Yes, no, she knew about the research. She would never. She did." Helena's expression softened. "Your mother wasn't evil." "Then why?" "Because she was desperate." "For what?" "To save her children." Amara looked at the 4 children. "What were they sick with?" Helena shook her head. "They weren't sick." "Then what?" "They were born with something rare." "What?" Helena smiled. "Something powerful." Julian looked at Marcus. "She's talking about the genetic marker." "Yes," Helena nodded. "The marker doesn't simply protect against disease. Then what does it do?" It allows the body to regenerate damaged tissue. Silence. Marcus stared at the screen. That isn't medically possible, it is. How? Because the children aren't naturally occurring. Amara's face went pale. What does that mean? Helena answered. Your children were genetically modified before they were born. Amara shook her head. No. Yes. That's impossible. Helena looked at her. Your mother agreed to the procedure. Why? To save your father's life. Amara's eyes filled with tears. My father was sick terminally. And my mother. She made a deal. With whom? Reginald. Julian's expression changed. My father? Yes. Helena continued. Reginald promised to fund the research. In exchange for what, the children? Amara whispered. My children were payment. Yes. Suddenly the lights returned. The doors opened. A group of armed men entered the corridor. Julian immediately pulled Amara behind him. Everyone stay together. The leader stepped forward. Mr. Ashford. Julian stared. Who are you? Federal agent. Marcus frowned. Show identification. The man did. Marcus examined it. It's real. Julian lowered his weapon slightly. Why are you here? The agent looked at the children. We're here to extract them. Amara immediately stepped forward. No. The agent looked at her. Mrs. Whitfield, they're my children. We understand. No. You don't. She held Noah closer. Nobody takes them, the agent sighed. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Julian stepped beside her. Then explain. The agent looked around. This hospital is compromised. By Helena? Yes. Where is she? She's not here. Then where? The agent looked at the ceiling. Everywhere. A strange silence followed. Marcus looked at his phone. No signal. The agent nodded. Exactly. Amara looked at the children. Why do you want them? The agent hesitated. Because there is a private organization that has been searching for them since birth. What organization? The Meridian Group. Julian's eyes narrowed. What is that? A multinational research organization. Marcus shook his head. They were shut down, officially. The agent looked at Amara. Unofficially, they never stopped. Amara's heart pounded. Who runs them? The agent looked at Julian. Your mother. Julian froze. My mother is dead. The agent nodded. We know. Then how? Because her research survived. Daniel suddenly stepped forward. Mom. Amara looked down. What? I know that name. Meridian? Daniel nodded. They used to talk about it. Julian crouched beside him. Who? The people who raised me. What did they say? Daniel swallowed. They said my mother created me. Amara's face went pale. What? Daniel looked at her. They said I was the first. The first what? The first successful child. Marcus stared. What did you say? Daniel continued. They said Zion and Maya came later. Julian looked at Amara. Then Noah. Daniel shook his head. Noah isn't part of the experiment. Everyone froze. Then what is he? Daniel looked at the baby. He's the original. Helena's voice came through the speakers. Exactly. Amara looked up. What does that mean? Helena answered. Noah was the genetic template. Julian stared. Template? Yes, the other children were created from him. Amara's face turned white. That's impossible. No. Helena's voice was calm. Your fourth child was born first. Julian frowned. What? His cells were used to create the genetic profiles of the others. Marcus looked at the baby. That would mean, Helena finished. All four children are genetically connected through Noah. Amara held him tighter. Why? Because your mother believed Noah could cure your father's disease. Amara whispered, My mother did this. Yes. Then why did she disappear? Helena's expression changed. Because she discovered the truth. What truth? That Reginald never intended to stop the experiment. Julian clenched his jaw. What did he intend to do? Helena looked directly into the camera. Create an army of genetically enhanced heirs. Silence. The federal agent suddenly received a message. He looked at his phone. His face changed. What? Julian asked. Someone breached the perimeter. How many? The agent looked toward the hallway. Too many. Gunshots erupted above them. The children screamed. Julian pulled Amara behind a concrete wall. Marcus grabbed Maya. Zion held Daniel's arm. Noah began crying. Helena's voice came through the speakers. "Take the children to the eastern tunnel." Julian looked up. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I'm the only person who wants them alive." The agent shouted. "Move!" Everyone ran. The eastern tunnel was narrow. Water dripped from the ceiling. Marcus carried Noah. Amara stayed beside him. Julian protected the rear. Daniel suddenly stopped. "Wait." Julian turned. "What?" Daniel pointed toward a wall. "There's something here." Marcus examined it, a hidden panel. He opened it. Inside was a small metal box. Daniel reached for it. "Don't." Julian stopped him. "Let me." He opened the box. Inside was a photograph. Amara looked at it. Her breath stopped. It showed her mother, standing beside Reginald, and holding a newborn baby, Noah, but the photograph was dated 20 years ago. Amara stared. "That can't be." Julian looked at the date. "Noah was born 10 years ago." Marcus looked closer. "This isn't Noah." Amara stared. The baby had the same eyes, the same mark, but the photograph was taken 20 years ago. Then Daniel whispered, "That's not a baby." Everyone turned. "What?" Daniel pointed. "Look at the eyes." Amara looked again. The baby was staring directly at the camera, not like a newborn, like someone who understood. Marcus whispered, "That's impossible." The photograph suddenly slipped from Amara's hand. On the back was a message. "The first child was never born." Amara's heart stopped. "Then what is Noah?" Before anyone could answer, a man's voice came from behind them. "That's the question I've been waiting for you to ask." They turned. Reginald stood at the end of the tunnel. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood a young man, maybe 20 years old, dark curls, brown eyes. The same mark beneath his left eye. Amara stared. Julian's face went completely white. The young man smiled. "Hello, Mom." Amara couldn't breathe. She looked at Daniel, then Zion, then Maya, then Noah. Then the young man. "How?" He stepped forward. "I was born 20 years ago," Julian whispered. "Impossible." The young man smiled. "That's what they told you." Reginald looked satisfied. "This is the truth you were never supposed to discover." Amara's voice trembled. "Who are you?" The young man answered. "Your first son." Daniel stepped forward. "No." The young man looked at him. "Yes." Daniel shook his head. "You're lying." The young man smiled. "Ask your grandmother." Amara's eyes widened. "My grandmother is dead." "No." He shook his head. "She isn't." A figure slowly appeared behind him. An elderly woman, weak, pale, but alive. Amara stopped breathing. "Grandma?" Odessa looked at her. Tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry, Amara." Amara's voice broke. "You knew." Odessa nodded. "I knew everything." "Where have you been?" "Running." "From whom?" Odessa looked at Reginald. "From him." Reginald smiled. "You were never very good at hiding." Odessa looked at Amara. "There is something you must know." "What?" Odessa pointed toward the young man. "He isn't your son." Amara froze. The young man's smile disappeared. Odessa continued. "He is your brother." Julian stared. "What?" Odessa looked at him. "Your father and Amara's mother had a child together." Amara's face went pale. The young man's expression became cold. "That's not what you told me." Odessa looked terrified. "I was wrong." "Why?" "Because I didn't know." The young man stepped toward her. "You lied to me." Odessa shook her head. "I protected you." The young man smiled bitterly. "Everyone keeps using that word." Then he looked at Amara. "My name is Adrian." Amara stared. "Adrian?" He nodded. "And I am the first child." Daniel looked at him. "Then why do you look like us?" Adrian smiled. "Because we share the same mother." Amara whispered, "My mother?" "Yes." She looked at Odessa. "How many children did my mother have?" Odessa's eyes filled with tears. 5. Silence. Amara stared. 5. Odessa nodded. "You, Adrian, Daniel, Zion, Maya." She looked at Noah and the baby. Amara's heart stopped. "That makes 6. Odessa went pale. "Yes." Everyone froze. "There is one more." A loud explosion shook the tunnel. The lights went out, and from somewhere in the darkness, a woman's voice whispered, 6 children, Helena, 6 chances." A pause. "And only one of them can survive." The explosion shook the underground tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered once. Then darkness swallowed everything. Amara could hear only breathing. Zion was crying. Maya was whispering his name. Daniel was calling for Julian. And somewhere in the darkness, Noah began. "Stay together," Julian shouted. Amara held Noah against her chest. "I have him. Where are the others, Zion?" "I'm here, Maya. I'm here, Daniel, Dad." Julian exhaled. All 3 children were alive, but Adrian was gone. And so was Odessa. Amara's heart pounded. "Where's Grandma?" No answer. "Grandma." Then a man's voice came from the darkness. "She's gone." Amara froze. Who said that? A flashlight turned on. Adrian stood several feet away. His face was expressionless. He was holding Odessa's cane. "Where is she?" Adrian looked at Amara. "She went after the 6th child." Amara stared. "Who is the 6th child?" Adrian shook his head. "I don't know, but you said there were 6. I said there are 6. Then who is the 6th? Adrian looked toward the darkness. "The child your mother never told anyone about." Julian stepped closer. "Where is Reginald?" Adrian's expression hardened. "Gone." "What happened?" He took Odessa. Amara's heart sank. "Why?" "Because she knows where the 6th child is." The emergency lights came back on. Marcus examined the tunnel. "There are 2 exits." Julian looked at him. "Which one did Reginald use?" "The western passage." "Then we go east." Adrian shook his head. "No." Julian looked at him. "Why?" "Because the western passage is a trap." "How do you know?" "Because I built it." Silence. Marcus stared at Adrian. "You built this?" "Yes." "When years ago?" "How old were you?" Adrian smiled, old enough to understand what they were doing. Amara stared at him. "Who raised you?" Adrian's expression changed. "Your mother." Amara's eyes widened. "My mother raised you? For a while?" "Then what happened?" "She gave me away." "Why?" Adrian looked down. "Because Reginald found out I existed." Amara stepped closer. "Why was he afraid of you?" "Because I knew the truth." "What truth?" "That he wasn't the first person to experiment on us." Julian frowned. "Who was?" Adrian looked directly at Amara. "Your mother." Amara's heart sank. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true. She wouldn't hurt her children. She didn't." "Then what did she do?" "She used herself." Amara froze. "What?" "She altered her own DNA before she became pregnant." Marcus looked stunned. "That would be impossible." Adrian nodded. "That's what everyone believed." "Why?" "To make her children resistant to the disease." "What disease?" Adrian looked at Julian. "The disease that killed your mother." Julian's face went pale. "My mother?" "Yes. She was already sick." "No." Adrian's voice dropped. "She was infected." "By whom?" Adrian answered. "Reginald." Julian's fists tightened. "My father infected her, yes. Why?" "To force her to continue the research." Amara covered her mouth. "So my mother was trying to save herself." Adrian nodded. "And her children." They reached the eastern chamber. A massive steel door stood ahead. Marcus searched the wall. "There should be a control panel." Adrian pointed. Behind that section, Marcus moved the panel. A hidden keypad appeared. "Password." Adrian entered 6 numbers. The door opened. Inside was a room filled with computers. Every screen showed the same thing. 6 genetic profiles. Amara stared. "Those are the children." Marcus nodded. "Maya, Daniel." He pointed. "Noah." Then Adrian. And he stopped. The 6th profile had no name, only a code. 00006. Amara stepped closer. "What does A00006 mean?" Marcus opened the file. His expression changed. "This isn't a child." Julian frowned. "What?" Marcus read the data. "It's an embryo." Amara stared. "An embryo?" "Yes. Where is it?" Marcus shook his head. "It was never implanted." "Then why is it here?" He opened another file. "Because it's still developing." Amara's face went pale. "Developing where?" Marcus looked up. "Inside a laboratory." "Where?" The computer displayed a location, a private island. Julian stared. "My father has an island." Adrian shook his head. "Not your father." "Then who?" Adrian whispered. "Helena." The speakers came alive. Helena's voice filled the room. "You're finally getting close." Julian looked around. "Show yourself." Not yet, Amara shouted. Where is my grandmother? Helena laughed softly. Safe. Bring her back. She knows what she must do. What? Choose. Choose what? Which child survives? Amara's blood ran cold. No, yes. You don't get to decide that. Helena's voice became cold. Neither do you. Julian stepped toward the speaker. You're threatening children. I'm protecting humanity. By experimenting on babies. By preventing a disease that could kill millions. Marcus interrupted. That's not how this works. Helena laughed. You've always been the rational one, Marcus. Marcus froze. You know me, of course. How? I recruited you. Marcus's face went white. What, 10 years ago? Julian turned toward his brother. Marcus? Marcus shook his head. I don't remember. You were young, Helena continued. You were told you were helping sick children. I didn't know. I know. Marcus looked devastated. I never wanted this. Helena's voice softened. That is why I chose you. Julian stepped between them. Enough. The screen suddenly changed. A live video appeared. Odessa was sitting in a chair. Her hands were tied. Reginald stood behind her, and beside him was a woman. Helena. Amara stared. Grandma. Odessa looked toward the camera. Amara. Reginald smiled. Hello again. Julian's expression hardened. Let her go. Reginald shook his head. Not until she tells us where the sixth child is, Amara shouted. She doesn't know. Reginald looked at Odessa. Don't you? Odessa began crying. I don't know. Reginald grabbed her shoulder. Tell them. Tell them what? That the sixth child was born. Amara froze. What? Odessa looked at the screen, her eyes filled with shame. I didn't know. Reginald laughed. You knew enough. Julian shouted. Where? Reginald looked at him. Your mother gave birth to 6 children. Amara shook her head. No, yes, that's impossible. No, Reginald smiled. Your mother gave birth to 5. Amara frowned. Then who is the 6th? Reginald looked toward Helena. Helena answered. Me. Silence. Amara stared at the screen. You? Helena smiled. I was the first genetic experiment. Marcus stepped backward. She's the original. Julian looked at him. What does that mean? She was the first person whose DNA was modified. Helena nodded. Exactly. Amara stared. You're not talking about a child. No. Helena smiled. I am the 6th. The truth hit everyone at once. Helena wasn't looking for a 6th child. She was the 6th subject, the original, the beginning of everything. Amara stared at the screen. Then why did you say there were 6 children? Helena answered. Because your children inherited my genetic sequence. Marcus looked at the profiles. He suddenly understood. The marker. Helena nodded. It began with me. Julian stared. And Noah, the perfected version. Amara held Noah closer. You want him, yes. Why? Because he can repair the damage done to my body. Amara's expression hardened. You want to use my baby as a cure. I want to live. You're willing to kill him. No. Helena looked at her. I need him alive. Julian stepped forward. You're not touching him. Helena smiled. That is why you are going to come to the island. Julian frowned. What island? You know exactly where. My father's island. Yes. Why? Because that's where your mother began the project. Julian's face went pale. She had a laboratory there. Yes, and you took it. I inherited it. Amara looked at Julian. What happens if don't go? Helena's expression changed. Then Reginald will kill Odessa. Amara froze. Reginald raised a gun toward Odessa. Your choice. Julian clenched his fists. Fine. Helena smiled. Good. We come. Bring all 4 children. No. Then Odessa dies. Amara looked at Julian. He nodded slowly. We'll bring them. The journey to the island began before sunrise. A private helicopter waited on the hospital roof. Marcus stayed behind with several federal agents. Julian, Amara, the 4 children, and Adrian boarded. Nathaniel was missing. Reginald had disappeared. And Helena was waiting. As the helicopter rose, Amara looked through the window. The city became smaller. Zion sat beside Maya. Daniel held his mother's hand. Noah slept in her arms. Adrian sat across from them. He hadn't spoken in nearly an hour. Finally, Amara asked, Why did you come with us? Adrian looked at her. Because you are my sister. Amara's eyes softened. You really believe that? Yes. How? Because your mother told me. When? Before she died. Amara's heart tightened. What did she say? Adrian looked away. She said one day you'd come looking for me. Amara smiled sadly. She was right. Adrian nodded. She was usually right. Julian looked at him. What happened to her? Adrian didn't answer immediately, then whispered she sacrificed herself. For what? To stop Helena. Julian stared. What happened? Helena wanted the children. Why? Because she believed the children could cure her. Julian looked at Noah. And your mother? She refused. What did Helena do? She killed her. Amara's heart shattered. My mother was murdered. Adrian nodded. Yes, by Helena. Yes, Amara closed her eyes. A tear ran down her cheek. Then Adrian said, but she left something for you. Amara looked at him. What? Adrian reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small pendant. Amara recognized it instantly. Her mother had worn it her entire life. My mother. Adrian handed it to her. She told me to give it to you when the time was right. Amara held it tightly. What's inside? Open it. She pressed the tiny clasp. The pendant opened. Inside was a microchip. Julian stared. That's a data chip. Adrian nodded. She said it contained the truth. Marcus wasn't there to decode it. But Julian had a portable reader. He inserted the chip. A video appeared. Amara's mother looked into the camera. She was younger, healthy, and pregnant. Amara began crying immediately. Her mother spoke. If you're watching this, then I failed to protect you. Amara covered her mouth. I need you to know something. The woman paused. I never wanted your children to become experiments. Julian stared. I made a mistake. Her voice trembled. I believed Reginald could help me save your father. She looked down. But I discovered too late that the research was never about saving him. It was about creating something new. She placed a hand over her pregnant stomach. Something that could survive anything. Amara cried silently. Her mother continued, Your first child will be different. Adrian looked away. He will carry the original marker. Your second and third children will inherit it naturally. Amara looked at Daniel and Zion. And the fourth. Her mother smiled sadly. We'll complete it. Julian looked at Noah. His heart sank. The video continued. But there is one more secret. Amara leaned closer. The child you believe is your fourth is not the final child. The screen went black. Amara froze. What? Julian looked at Adrian. What does that mean? Adrian shook his head. I don't know. The screen turned on again. One final message appeared. The fifth child was never born. Amara's breath caught, then another line appeared. Because the fifth child is you. Amara stared. No. Julian grabbed her hand. What does that mean? She couldn't answer. The helicopter suddenly shook violently. The pilot shouted, Hold on! A warning light flashed. The island appeared ahead. But there were no landing lights, no runway, only cliffs. Then a voice came through the radio. Helena. Welcome home, Amara. The helicopter descended, and beneath them, on the island's largest building, a giant symbol glowed red. The same symbol that had appeared on Noah's medical file. Amara looked at it. Her blood ran cold, because she had seen that symbol before, on her mother's necklace. The helicopter touched down hard. Before the blades had even stopped spinning, Amara knew something was wrong. The island was silent, too silent. No guards, no staff, no vehicles. Only the enormous black building ahead of them, its windows glowing faintly beneath the storm clouds. And above the entrance was the same symbol Amara had seen on her mother's necklace, the symbol of the research project that had destroyed her family. Julian stepped out first. Stay close. Amara followed with Noah in her arms. Zion held Maya's hand. Daniel stayed beside Julian. Adrian came last. The helicopter lifted away immediately. Amara watched it disappear into the clouds. We're trapped. Adrian nodded. That was the point. Julian looked at him. Did you know this would happen? Yes. Then why did you bring us here? Adrian looked at Amara. Because this is where the truth is. Suddenly, the massive doors opened. A woman's voice echoed through the entrance. Come inside. Helena. Julian tightened his grip on his weapon. Amara whispered, "Don't." He looked at her. "She wants us angry." Julian nodded. "Then we'll stay calm." They entered. The doors closed behind them. The interior of the facility looked nothing like an abandoned laboratory. It was modern. Clean, almost luxurious white marble floors, glass walls, advanced medical equipment, and photographs of children, hundreds of them. Amara stopped. Oh God! Every photograph showed a child. Some were infants. Some were teenagers. Some were adults. Julian looked around. "How many?" Adrian answered quietly. "Too many." Amara approached one photograph. A little girl, 6 years old, underneath her picture. Subject 018. She looked terrified. Amara's stomach turned. "Were they all part of the experiment?" Adrian nodded. "Most." "What happened to them?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Amara understood. They died. Adrian looked down. Some survived. "Where?" Adrian looked toward the upper floors. "Some are still here." A door opened. Several people in white coats walked into the room. They stopped when they saw the children. One of them whispered, "The subjects are here." Julian immediately stepped forward. "They are not subjects." The doctor looked at him. "They are valuable." Julian's voice became dangerous. "They are children." The doctor lowered his eyes. "We've been ordered not to harm them." "By Helena?" "Yes, where is she?" The doctor pointed toward the elevator. "Level 7. Julian looked at Amara. "We're going up." The elevator doors opened. They entered. The elevator began rising. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3. The numbers continued. Amara stared at the display. "Why does it go to 7 if this building only has 5 floors?" Adrian answered. "Because the last 2 are underground." The elevator stopped. The doors opened. A hallway stretched ahead. At the end was a glass room. Inside stood Helena. She was dressed in white, calm, almost peaceful. She smiled when she saw Amara. "You finally came." Amara walked toward her. "Where is my grandmother?" Helena pointed toward another room. "Alive." Odessa was sitting behind the glass. She looked exhausted. Amara rushed toward her. "Grandma!" Odessa stood. "Amara, I thought I lost you." Odessa shook her head. "You haven't lost me yet." Amara touched the glass. "Let her out." Helena smiled. In a moment, Julian stepped forward. "What do you want?" Helena looked at Noah. "Him." Amara immediately pulled the baby closer. "No." Helena nodded. "I expected that." "Then why bring us here?" "Because I don't need to take him." She pressed a button. A door opened behind Amara. A group of people entered. They were carrying medical equipment. Amara turned. "What is this?" Helena answered. "Your choice." "What choice?" "Save Noah." She paused. "Or save the others." Amara's face went pale. Julian stepped forward. "Don't listen to her." Helena smiled. "She knows what I'm talking about." Amara looked at her. "What are you planning?" Helena pointed toward the children. "Each of them carries a different part of the genetic sequence." Marcus had explained the marker, but now Amara understood the horrifying implication. "You need all 4, yes, and if you take Noah, you save millions of lives." Amara shook her head. "You're asking me to sacrifice my baby." "No." Helena looked at her. "I'm asking you to save the world." Julian laughed bitterly. "You've convinced yourself you're a hero." Helena's expression hardened. "Do you know how many people die every year from diseases that could be prevented? That doesn't justify kidnapping children." "No." She looked at Noah. "But it explains why I did it." Suddenly, Odessa began pounding on the glass. Amara turned. "Grandma, don't believe her." Helena looked irritated. Odessa shouted, "She isn't telling you everything." Helena pressed a button. The glass became opaque. Amara screamed, "Stop!" Helena looked at her. "Your grandmother has always been afraid of the truth." "What truth? That your mother wasn't the scientist." Amara froze. "What?" Helena smiled. "Your mother was the subject." Julian stared. "No, yes," Helena continued. "She was the first woman whose body successfully carried the genetic modification." Amara's heart pounded. She was pregnant with Adrian when the experiment began. Adrian stepped forward. "You lied to me." Helena looked at him. I protected you. Adrian's face hardened. Everyone says that. Helena ignored him. Your mother later became pregnant with Amara. Amara stared. She modified herself further. Why? To create the next generation. Amara looked at her children. No. Helena nodded. Yes. Then I was part of the experiment before I was even born. Yes. Amara's eyes filled with tears. And my children? The next stage. Julian looked horrified. This isn't science. Helena looked at him. It is. No. He stepped closer. This is obsession. Helena smiled. History remembers people who change the world. Julian shook his head. Not people who destroy children. Helena's expression hardened. Then stop me. The alarm suddenly sounded. Helena turned. What happened? A technician rushed into the room. Security breach. Where? Level 4. Who? The technician looked terrified. We don't know. Helena immediately turned toward the elevator. Lock down the entire facility. Amara noticed something. Helena was afraid, really afraid. Julian noticed too. What are you scared of? Helena didn't answer. Adrian whispered. Someone is here. Who? I don't know. Then every monitor in the facility turned black. A single sentence appeared. Project Meridian has been compromised. Helena's face went pale. No. Another message appeared. Subject has awakened. Amara looked at Adrian. What is Subject 0? Adrian shook his head. I don't know. Helena whispered. You shouldn't be here. A voice came through the speakers. Male deep calm. Hello, Helena. She froze. Amara stared at her. Who is that? Helena whispered. Your father. Amara's heart stopped. My father is dead. I know. Then who is speaking? Helena looked terrified. The man who killed him. Julian immediately raised his weapon. Where? The voice answered. Below you. The floor suddenly shook. A hidden section opened. A staircase descended into darkness. Amara looked down. What is down there? Helena whispered. The original laboratory. Julian took Amara's hand. Stay with me, they descended. The lower they went, the colder it became. The walls changed. Modern equipment disappeared. Old machinery replaced it. Photographs covered the walls. Amara stopped at one, her mother, pregnant. Standing beside Helena, another photograph, her mother holding Adrian, another. Her mother holding newborn Amara, another, her mother holding 3 infants, then another. 6, Amara's eyes widened. There really were 6. Adrian stepped closer. But I was the first. Amara shook her head. Then who are the others? A voice answered. You. Everyone turned. A man stepped out of the darkness. Amara stopped breathing. He looked older, much older. But she knew the face. Her father's face, her father's eyes, her father's voice. Dad, Julian stared. Impossible, the man smiled. Hello, Amara. She backed away. You died, I was supposed to. Who are you? He looked at Helena. Ask her. Helena's face was filled with fear. Amara looked at her. Tell me. Helena shook her head. Your father was never the man you thought he was. Amara looked back at the man. Then who are you? He answered. My name is Samuel. Samuel what? He smiled. Samuel Whitfield. Amara's heart shattered. My father. Yes. Julian stepped forward. You've been alive all this time. Samuel nodded. Hidden. Why? Because Reginald wanted me dead. Julian frowned. Why? Samuel looked at Amara. Because I knew what he had done to your mother. Amara's voice trembled. What did he do? Samuel looked at the children. He didn't create the experiment. Helena stared at him. Samuel continued. He stole it. From whom? From me. Silence. Amara shook her head. You were the scientist. Samuel nodded. I created the original genetic sequence. Julian stared. And Helena, my partner. Helena looked away. Until she betrayed me. Samuel continued. We believed the research could save millions. What happened? Reginald wanted to weaponize it. And my mother? She tried to stop him. Then why did she become a subject? Samuel looked at Amara. Because she was pregnant. Amara's eyes widened. With Adrian? Yes. She volunteered. She had no choice. Why? Because Reginald had already infected you. Amara froze. What? Samuel's voice broke. You were born carrying the disease. Julian stared. Amara. Samuel nodded. Your mother changed your genetic sequence before you were born. Amara looked at her children. And my children were created to stabilize yours. Silence, the truth was overwhelming. Amara wasn't simply the mother of the experiment. She was part of it. The children weren't merely victims. They were the continuation. Julian took her hand. You are not what they made you. Amara looked at him. He continued, you are who you choose to be. Tears filled her eyes. Then Samuel looked toward Noah. There is one thing you still don't know. What? Noah isn't the cure. Amara froze. Then what is he? Samuel's expression became grave. He is the key to reversing the entire genetic modification. Helena suddenly stepped forward. No. Samuel looked at her. Yes, if no is used, he can undo everything. Helena shook her head. That would destroy the research. Samuel nodded. That is the point. Helena pulled a weapon. Then he dies. Julian immediately moved in front of Amara. A gunshot echoed. Samuel collapsed. Dad! Amara screamed. Helena raised the weapon again. But before she could fire, Adrian attacked. The weapon flew from her hand. Julian grabbed Helena. She fought back. Marcus suddenly appeared at the top of the stairs with federal agents. Everybody down! Helena looked toward the stairs. You! Marcus raised his weapon. It's over! Helena laughed. No. She pressed a button on her wrist. The entire facility began shaking. Marcus looked around. What did you do? Helena smiled. I activated the failsafe. Julian stared. What failsafe? Helena answered. The island will self-destruct in 12 minutes. Amara looked at the children. Where is Noah's cure? Samuel, still alive, pointed weakly toward a laboratory door. Inside. Julian looked at Marcus. Get him. Marcus nodded. Amara held Noah tightly. We're not leaving without my father. Julian looked at Samuel. We'll carry him. The alarm grew louder. 12 minutes became 11. The children began running. The family that had spent 10 years separated was now fighting together, but nobody noticed the small screen hidden beneath the laboratory table. It displayed one final message. Phase 3 initiated. And beneath it, the real object has awakened. The words flashed across the laboratory screen. Amara stared at them. What does that mean? Nobody answered. The alarm screamed louder. Red lights spun across the ceiling. 11:02. The island was going to self-destruct. Julian grabbed Amara's hand. We have to move. But my father, we're taking him with us. Marcus and 2 federal agents lifted Samuel from the floor. Samuel was bleeding heavily. Don't waste time on me, he whispered. Amara shook her head. You are not dying here. Samuel looked at her. For the first time in 20 years, his daughter was standing in front of him. He smiled weakly. You've become strong. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Because I had to. Samuel looked at the children. No, he shook his head. Because your mother succeeded. What do you mean? She didn't create weapons. Samuel looked at the children. She created survivors. They rushed through the underground laboratory. The entire building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Glass shattered. Marcus shouted, 8 minutes! Julian looked around. Where is the exit? Samuel pointed toward a steel corridor. North Tunnel. Marcus frowned. That tunnel collapsed years ago. Samuel shook his head. Not anymore. How do you know? I built it. They ran. Amara carried Noah. Zian held Maya. Daniel stayed beside Julian. Adrian followed behind. Then Helena's voice came through the speakers. You can't escape, Julian shouted. Watch us. Helena laughed. You still don't understand. Understand what? The island isn't the danger. Julian stopped. What? The danger is already with you. The speakers went silent. Everyone looked at one another. Amara tightened her hold on Noah. What did she mean? Adrian suddenly stopped. She's talking about me. Amara turned. What? Adrian looked terrified. She always said I was the unstable one. Samuel, being carried behind them, suddenly spoke. No. Everyone looked at him. Helena isn't talking about Adrian. Then who? Samuel looked at the children. The real subject. The lights flickered. Daniel suddenly grabbed his head. Dad! Julian rushed to him. What happened? My head hurts. Daniel fell to his knees. Amara dropped beside him. Daniel! His body began shaking. Marcus examined him. His temperature is rising. Samuel stared. No, what? Samuel looked terrified. He's activating. Amara froze. What does that mean? Samuel whispered. The final genetic sequence is waking up. Daniel opened his eyes. They looked different, not physically, but something behind them had changed. He looked at the laboratory walls. I can hear them. Julian frowned. Hear who? The machines. Marcus stared. What machines? Daniel pointed toward the wall. Behind there. Marcus touched the wall. Nothing. Daniel pointed again. Behind it. Marcus removed a panel. A hidden computer system appeared. It was still running. Marcus stared. This facility has another power source. Daniel looked at the screen. I know. Amara stared at her son. How? Daniel shook his head. I don't know. The screen suddenly activated. A genetic sequence appeared. Marcus read it. His face went pale. Daniel. What? This sequence is impossible. Samuel looked at the screen. It's not impossible. What is it? The original sequence. Marcus shook his head. No. Samuel nodded. Daniel is Subject 0. Everyone froze. Julian stared at his son. Subject 0? Samuel nodded. The first successful genetic modification. But you said Adrian was the first. I was wrong. Adrian looked at Samuel. You told me I was. Samuel looked at him. Because that's what Helena wanted me to believe. Adrian's expression broke. Then what am I? Samuel answered, you are the first natural carrier. Adrian stared. And Daniel? The first engineered carrier. Amara looked at Daniel. Her 10-year-old son was sitting silently. He looked frightened. Can you control it? Daniel nodded slowly. I think so. Then he looked at Amara. But I don't know what it does, Samuel whispered. It allows him to access the entire system. Marcus stared. That's why he can hear the machines. Yes. Then the whole facility is connected to him. Yes. Daniel looked toward the ceiling. They're talking, Julian asked. Who? The computers. What are they saying? Daniel whispered. They're scared. 6 minutes remained. The north tunnel opened. Cold air rushed through. They could see daylight in the distance. But suddenly the ground beneath them moved. A steel door slammed down. Everyone stopped. Marcus shouted, move! They tried to lift it. It wouldn't move. Samuel pointed. There is another way. Where? Under the floor. Marcus looked down. A maintenance hatch. They opened it. A narrow tunnel descended. Julian looked at Amara. We have no choice. They climbed down one by one. Samuel was lowered carefully. Noah was passed to Julian. Amara followed. Then Daniel. As Daniel stepped into the tunnel, the entire building shook. He looked up. It's coming. Julian looked at him. What? The explosion. How long? Daniel closed his eyes. 3 minutes. Marcus looked at his watch. 4. Daniel shook his head. 3. Marcus stared. How can you know? Daniel point. The machines told me. Nobody questioned him anymore. They ran. Behind them, Helena entered the laboratory. She looked at the destroyed equipment. Her expression was strangely calm. She walked toward the central computer. Begin final extraction. A machine activated. A screen displayed. Subject no. Ready. Helena smiled. Then another line appeared. Denid. She frowned. Who did that? The system answered. Subject 0. Helena froze. Daniel. She rushed toward the control panel. Override. SS Denid. Override. Access Denid. Helena screamed. Daniel, the screen changed. A live image appeared. Daniel was running through the tunnel. Helena stared at him. You don't even know what you are. Daniel stopped. Somehow he heard her. He turned toward the camera. Yes, I do. Helena's eyes widened. Daniel looked directly into the camera. I'm Mom's son. The screen went black. Helena stood frozen. Then the first explosion hit. The tunnel shook violently. Amara fell. Julian caught her. Are you okay? She nodded. Noah was crying. Zion and Maya were holding each other. Daniel kept moving. Faster. They ran. Another explosion. The tunnel ceiling cracked. Rocks fell. Marcus shouted, keep moving. Adrian grabbed Maya. Julian grabbed Zion. Amara held Noah. Samuel was being carried by two agents. Then the tunnel collapsed behind them. Dust filled the passage. They reached the end. A steel ladder led upward. Marcus climbed first. He opened the hatch. Rain poured in. They had escaped. Everyone climbed out. Then the island exploded. A massive fireball rose behind them. The laboratory disappeared beneath smoke and debris. Amara stared. Helena was still inside. Or so they thought. Hours later, they were aboard a rescue ship. Samuel was receiving emergency treatment. The children were wrapped in blankets. Amara sat beside Noah. Julian sat beside her. For the first time in days, there was silence, real silence. No alarms, no gunshots, no running, just the ocean. Julian looked at Amara. "You okay?" She nodded. He smiled. Faintly. "Fair." She looked at him. "Will we ever have a normal life?" Julian took her hand. "Maybe not normal," she smiled, "but peaceful. We'll fight for it." Daniel sat nearby. He had been unusually quiet. Amara walked toward him. "What are you thinking?" Daniel looked at the ocean. "I can still hear them. The machines." He nodded. "What are they saying?" "They're gone." Amara hugged him. "You're safe." Daniel leaned against her. Then he whispered, "No." Amara pulled back. "What?" Daniel looked frightened. "Not all of them." Julian stood. "What do you mean?" Daniel pointed toward the horizon. "There is another facility." Marcus approached. "Where?" Daniel closed his eyes, then whispered a location. Marcus's face changed. "That's impossible." Julian looked at him. "What?" Marcus stared at the map. "That location doesn't exist." Daniel shook his head. "It does." "How do you know?" "They're calling me." That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She stood outside the cabin. Julian joined her. "You should rest." "So should you," he smiled. "I've been told I'm stubborn." She looked at the ocean. "Julian, yes, if everything we learned is true." He waited. "What happens to us?" He took her hand. "We stay together. What about the children? We protect them. What if they keep coming? Then they come through me first." Amara looked at him. "You've already lost so much." "So have you." She smiled sadly. "Maybe we were meant to find each other." Julian leaned closer. "Maybe." They kissed. For the first time there was no contract, no deception, no fear, just love. Then a scream came from inside. Amara and Julian rushed toward the cabin. Maya was standing beside Noah's crib. Yuzion was behind her. Daniel was frozen near the door. Amara grabbed Noah. "What happened?" Maya pointed toward the crib. He opened his eyes. Amara looked down. Noah was awake. His eyes were glowing faintly. Daniel whispered, "He's awake." Julian stared. "What does that mean?" Daniel looked at him. "It means he knows where they are." "Who?" Daniel pointed toward the ocean. "The people who made us." Amara's heart sank. "Where?" Daniel whispered. "Under the water." The rescue ship suddenly lost power. Every light turned off. The engine died. The ocean became completely still. Marcus rushed onto the deck. "What happened?" The captain shook his head. "Everything just shut down." Julian looked over the railing. Nothing. Then the water beneath them began glowing. A massive symbol appeared under the surface. The same symbol from the laboratory. Amara stared. "No." Daniel walked beside her. "They found us." Julian looked at him. "Who?" Daniel pointed toward the water. A shadow moved beneath the ship. Huge, metallic, a submarine. It surfaced. A hatch opened. A man stood on top. Amara recognized him immediately. Her blood ran cold. Reginald. Julian's face hardened. "Impossible." Reginald smiled. "You really thought the island was the end?" Julian stepped forward. "You're supposed to be dead." Reginald laughed. "I've survived worse." Amara held Noah tighter. Reginald looked directly at the baby. "There he is." Julian raised his weapon. "Take one step closer." Reginald smiled. "You still don't understand." "What?" "I never wanted the island." Julian frowned. "Then what did you want?" Reginald pointed toward Noah. "Him." Amara stepped backward. "You will never have him." Reginald looked at her. "Oh, I won't." A second submarine surfaced behind them, then a third. Dozens of armed men appeared on the decks. Reginald smiled. "Because you are going to bring him to me." Julian looked around. They were surrounded. Then Reginald said the words that froze everyone. "Your children aren't the final experiment." He pointed toward the dark ocean. "The final experiment is already awake." The water exploded. Something enormous rose from beneath the waves. Daniel screamed, "Run!" But there was nowhere to run, and as the creature emerged from the darkness, Noah suddenly stopped crying. He looked toward it and smiled. No one moved. The ocean around the rescue ship glowed beneath the moonlight. The enormous shape continued rising from the darkness. Amara held Noah against her chest. Julian stood in front of her. "Everyone stay behind me." Reginald smiled from the submarine. "You still think a gun can protect you?" Julian didn't answer. Daniel stared at the creature. His face had gone completely pale. "Dad!" Julian turned. "What? It isn't a creature. What is it?" Daniel whispered. "It's a machine." The enormous object broke completely through the surface. It was not alive. It was a massive underwater laboratory, a floating research facility disguised as a submarine. Lights appeared across its metallic surface. Hundreds of windows illuminated simultaneously. Reginald raised his arms. "Welcome to Meridian 2. Marcus stared. There was a second facility. Reginald smiled. The island was only a decoy. Julian's jaw tightened. "You planned everything?" "Yes." "You used Helena?" "Yes." "You used my father?" "Yes." "You used Amara's family?" "Yes." Julian's voice became cold. "And the children?" Reginald looked toward Noah. "They were the reason." Amara stepped forward. "You're not taking my son." Reginald smiled. "I'm not." He pointed toward Daniel. "I'm taking him." Daniel froze. Amara immediately pulled him closer. "No." Reginald's smile disappeared. "You still don't understand." "What?" "Daniel is the key." Julian looked at his son. "What key?" Reginald answered. "The key to shutting down the entire program." A silence fell over the ship. Daniel looked confused. "Why would you want to shut it down?" Reginald's expression changed. "Because it has become uncontrollable." Marcus stared. "You lost control of the project." "Yes." "How?" Reginald looked toward the underwater facility. "The children." Amara frowned. "What did they do?" "They changed." "Changed how?" "They developed beyond our predictions." Daniel looked at his hands. Reginald continued. "Your mother created the first generation." "Adrian." "Yes." "Then Amara." "Yes." "Then Zion, Maya, and Daniel." "Yes." "And Noah." Reginald's eyes narrowed. Noah was never supposed to exist. Amara held him tighter. "Then why was he born?" Reginald looked at her. "Because your mother made one final decision." "What decision?" "She chose love over science." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "What does that mean?" Reginald looked toward Samuel. "Ask your father." Everyone turned. Samuel was standing near the ship's medical cabin. He was pale, weak, but alive. He looked at Amara. "Your mother destroyed the original research, but you said she created it." "She did." "Then why?" "Because she realized what it would become." Samuel looked at Noah. "She discovered that the modified genetic sequence could be passed from parent to child." Amara nodded. So every generation would become stronger." Marcus whispered. "Evolution accelerated artificially." Samuel nodded. "Yes." Julian looked at Daniel. "And Daniel?" "The first child to fully activate the sequence." Daniel looked terrified. "What happens if I activate it?" Samuel answered. "You could control every system built from your mother's research." Daniel looked toward the underwater facility. "That's why I can hear the machines." "Yes." "And Noah?" Samuel smiled sadly. "He is the opposite." Amara looked at him. "The opposite?" "Noah can erase it." Reginald shouted, "Don't tell them." Julian raised his weapon. "It's over." Reginald laughed. "No." He pressed a button. The underwater facility began opening. A massive platform emerged. On it stood dozens of armed guards, but behind them were people. Scientists, doctors, and children, hundreds of children. Amara stared. "They're alive." Reginald nodded. "The survivors." Maya whispered, "Mom." Amara looked at her. "We have to save them." Julian nodded. "We will." Reginald smiled. "Then come aboard." The rescue ship was surrounded. There was no way to escape. But Julian noticed something. The guards weren't firing. He looked at Reginald. "You want us alive?" "Yes, why?" "Because only you can open the final chamber." "Which one?" Reginald pointed at Daniel. "His." Daniel stepped backward. "No." Reginald's voice softened. "You've been afraid of what you are your entire life." Daniel looked at Amara. She knelt beside him. "You don't have to do anything." Reginald laughed. "She can't protect you forever." Amara stood. "Maybe not." She looked directly at Reginald. "But I can stand beside him." Julian stepped beside her. "So can I." Then Zion stepped forward. "So can I." Maya joined him. "Me too." Adrian smiled. "And me." Samuel raised his hand. "Then we're all going." Reginald looked at them. For the first time his confidence disappeared. They boarded Meridian 2. Inside, the facility was enormous. Hallways stretched in every direction. Hundreds of rooms, medical laboratory, dormitories, research centers, and children. So many children. Amara stopped beside a glass room. A little boy was sitting alone. He looked about 7. He stared at her. "Are you my mother?" Amara's heart broke. "No." The boy looked down. She touched the glass. "But I'm going to help you." He looked up. "Promise?" Amara nodded. "I promise." They continued. Reginald led them toward the central chamber. Julian whispered, "Once we're inside, we take control." Marcus nodded. "I've already accessed the security system." Daniel suddenly stopped. "Wait." Everyone froze. "What?" Daniel looked at the wall. "There are people behind it." Marcus scanned it. "Nothing." Daniel shook his head. "There are hundreds." He touched the wall. A hidden door opened. Everyone stared. Behind it was a massive chamber, thousands of computer servers, and in the center a woman, Helena, alive. She was connected to the system by cables. Amara stared. "What happened to her?" Reginald smiled. "She became the system." Helena opened her eyes. "Reginald," he looked at her. "You failed." Helena smiled weakly. "No," she looked at Daniel. "I found him." Daniel stepped back. "You're afraid of me?" Helena nodded. "Yes." "Why?" "Because you can end me." Daniel looked confused. "How?" Helena looked toward Noah. "Your brother." Daniel turned. Noah was sleeping peacefully in Amara's arms. Helena whispered, "He can erase everything." Amara stepped forward. "Then why did you keep him alive?" "Because I needed you to bring him here." Julian raised his weapon. "You're not getting him." Helena smiled. "You already did." "What?" The moment he entered this facility, the system recognized him. Every light turned white, the computers activated, one after another. Then thousands, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Genetic key detected." Amara held Noah tighter. The system continued. "Jed detected." Daniel looked around. "That's me. Yes, what do you want?" "Choice." Daniel frowned. "What choice?" The system answered. "Continue." A second message appeared. "Or end." Julian looked at Daniel. "What does that mean?" Daniel looked at Noah. "I think I know." He stepped toward his little brother. Amara stopped him. "Daniel." He looked at her. "I have to." "No. If I don't, they'll keep coming." Amara shook her head. "We'll find another way." Daniel smiled. "You taught me something." "What?" "That being brave doesn't mean you aren't scared." Amara's eyes filled with tears. Daniel hugged her. "I love you, Mum." "I love you too." He turned toward Noah. Then Noah opened his eyes. The entire room went silent. The baby's eyes glowed faintly. Daniel placed his hand against Noah's tiny hand. The system activated. Every screen displayed the same message. "Genetic reset a variable." Helena screamed. "No." Reginald raised his weapon. "Stop." Julian tackled him. A gunshot echoed. Reginald fell. Marcus rushed toward Helena. "Disconnect her." "I can't." "Why?" "She's integrated into the system." Daniel looked at the screens. "Then I can do it." Marcus stared. "You can?" Daniel nodded. "I can hear it." He closed his eyes. The machines began shutting down. One by one, laboratory doors opened. Children were released. Security systems collapsed. Research files began deleting. Helena screamed. "No." Daniel opened his eyes. "You don't get to hurt anyone anymore." The final system message appeared. "Reset initiated." The entire facility went dark. Hours later, the children were evacuated. The government arrived, the scientists were arrested, the surviving researchers were taken into custody. Meridian 2 was secured, and the research that had destroyed so many lives was finally gone, or so everyone believed. On the deck of the rescue ship, Amara sat with her children. Zian leaned against her shoulder. Maya held Noah. Daniel sat beside Julian. Adrian stood nearby. Samuel watched them from a wheelchair. For the first time, they looked like a family. Not perfect, not ordinary, but together. Julian looked at Amara. "You okay?" She smiled. "I think so." He looked at the children. "We have a lot to explain to them." Amara laughed softly. "A lifetime." Julian took her hand. "Then we'll take the lifetime." She looked at him. "What about us? What about us? We never actually had a normal beginning." Julian smiled. "No." He reached into his pocket. Amara frowned. "What is that?" He pulled out a small velvet box. Her eyes widened. "Julian." He opened it. Inside was a ring. Not a contract, not a business arrangement, not an obligation, a choice. Amara Whitfield. He took her hand. "I spent years believing love made people weak." He smiled. "You taught me the opposite." Her eyes filled with tears. "So I'm asking you something." He knelt. The children immediately gathered around them. Julian looked into her eyes. "Will you choose me?" Amara laughed through her tears. "Yes." The children cheered. Julian placed the ring on her finger. Then he kissed her. For the first time, there were no secrets between them. 1 year later, the Whitfield Ashford family lived far away from the island. The surviving children from Meridian were placed with safe families. Some stayed with Amara and Julian. The government created a foundation in their names. Samuel recovered slowly. Adrian became part of the family. Marcus testified against the people involved, and Reginald spent the rest of his life in prison. Helena survived, but she no longer had control over anything. As for Daniel, he became the protector of the children. He never used his abilities to control anyone. Instead, he used them to protect the systems that kept them safe. And Noah? Noah grew up surrounded by love. Not experiments, not fear, not secrets. Just family. One evening, Amara stood on the balcony watching her children play. Julian came up behind her. "You're thinking again," she smiled. "Always. What about?" She looked at the children. "I was thinking about how close we came to losing everything." Julian wrapped his arms around her. "But we didn't." "No." She leaned against him. "We found each other." He kissed her forehead. "And we found our children." Amara smiled. Then Daniel suddenly looked toward the ocean. His expression changed. Julian noticed. "What is it?" Daniel didn't answer. Amara walked toward him. "Daniel?" He looked at her. "I heard something." Her heart skipped. "What?" He pointed toward the horizon. "A signal." Julian's face hardened. "From where?" Daniel looked confused. "From the island." Amara froze. "The island was destroyed." "I know." "Then how?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know." Suddenly Noah began crying. Maya ran toward them. "Mom." Amara picked Noah up. "What happened?" Maya pointed toward the ocean. A tiny red light blinked in the distance once, twice, 3 times. Daniel whispered, "Someone survived." Julian looked at Amara. For a moment neither spoke, then Amara smiled. "We'll handle it." Julian nodded. Together they looked toward the horizon. Whatever came next, they would face it together, because the family that had been separated by lies had finally become stronger than the people who tried to destroy it. And this time, they were ready. The end. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, please like, subscribe to our channel, and join the Proudly family for more interesting stories filled with love, betrayal, family, secrets, and unforgettable twists. Until our next story. Stay blessed, stay strong, and never stop believing that love can find its way home.